A deranged man broke into the Pelosi's home in the wee hours of the morning, mercilessly beating Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, with a hammer, fracturing his skull, seriously injuring him. Paul Pelosi is expected to recover, but he had to get brain surgery. It turns out now, first, the individual was seeking Nancy, screaming, "Where's Nancy?" And now we have information on this individual's potential motivations. While the media initially reported that he had anti-COVID conspiracies and was posting things about the election, it turns out he's a self-identified member of the Green Party, has a pride flag in front of his house, and is a nudist. I don't know if you can necessarily put him in any camp because he's maybe just crazy, but he's an self-identified member of the Green Party. So that's the left. I mean, I know many of the higher profile leftists would reject that, and well, you know, it is what it is. But I'll make sure we make that clear that this guy is a crazy person, and I'm not convinced that what he was doing is reflects on any coherent ideology. If someone showed up to the Pelosi's house with a clear understanding of what was going on and a political mission, I would say that was political and that was, you know, intended to be some kind of assassination. But this guy just seems crazy. But we'll read the story. We'll get into that. And also, we have way more developments on the Elon Musk story. At first, it was reported he was going to be unbanning people. Then he said, no one's getting unbanned until a diverse moderation committee comes together and convenes. Then he said anybody who is, you know, arbitrarily banned or, you know, dubiously banned will be reinstated. So should get interesting. We'll go through that and a bunch of other stories. Some people are claiming bots are being purged as leftists lose followers, but oddly, non-leftists and conservatives are gaining tons of followers. So we'll see. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com, become a member, support our work. Click that join us button. As a member, you're keeping our journalists employed. You're helping this show continue. You'll get access to our uncensored shows Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m., as well as Cast Castle Vlog, Tales from the Inverted World. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share the video right now. You got to be the notification you want to see in the world. There's so much to go through. Joining us to talk about this and so much more is Gavin Wax.
Thanks for having me back, Tim. Great to be here.
Who are you?
I'm a columnist with Town Hall, Newsmax, American Greatness. I'm the head of the New York Young Republican Club. We're the oldest and largest club in the country. And I'm a co-author of an upcoming book, The Emerging Populist Majority, which should head to print this December, and writing it with my co-author and a good friend, Iraq War veteran Troy Olson.
Right on. We also got the t-shirt vendor.
Hey guys, my name's Luke Rudowski here of wearechange.org, and today I decided to wear my Free as a Bird shirt. It of course highlights Elon Musk smoking a doobie inside of the Twitter logo. If you like this shirt, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Because you do, I am here. Thank you again so much for having me.
I like that one a lot, Luke, and I want it.
I'll mail you one.
I want the one off your back. No, yeah, that'd be great.
I can just give you it.
I'm a medium.
I'm a large.
I was not around yesterday. Great news.
I know, we needed you.
Elon picked it up. I know that now I see that he's starting a council. He wants to get advisors on to figure out how to go about adjudicating the system. So Elon, I am available if you want. Some people have nominated me for this council, and I can put you in touch with a lot of great free software advocates. We can get in touch with Chris. You already know Chris Pavlovsky, but we'll just start organizing a lot of the heads of the social media organizations, and then see if we can start federating. And beyond, there's things better than federation, better than the Fediverse, like Nostr, Nostr particularly. We'll talk more about that as it becomes topical.
And I am Serge.com. Liked Twitter so far. I've only been on it for like a day. It's been interesting.
Well,
but it's also been a lot of bad stuff too.
And my friends, we also have a new shirt. That's right. We too sell shirts. Head over to timcast.com, click store, and you can get our new design, Stand Your Ground, in honor of Roberto Jr., the Noble Rooster. So we have shirts with the image of it's Roberto Jr. and he's going like, yeah, and it says stand your ground. And we actually have flags and stickers and posters. This one is a poster, 24 by 36, and it is a rooster raising his wings and, he's sending his around. The reason why we chose this is that roosters will sacrifice their lives to save their hens. They will charge full speed at a predator they know will kill them if it grants the hens even a few more moments to try and survive. Be like the noble rooster. Stand tall and be willing to sacrifice for the greater good and the ones you care about. I had the idea because I was reading about the Gadsden flag. Don't tread on me, the snake will bite you. And then I was like, but what about the noble rooster? The noble rooster who would die to save those he cares about. I mean, that's powerful stuff right there. And then I honestly just really wanted the flag. So I got a flag made. and we're going to have it. And I think it's really cool. Go to timcast.com, check the store if you want to pick that one up. Let's jump to the first story from the San Francisco Chronicle. What we know about David DePape, man accused of attacking Paul Pelosi with a hammer. First and foremost, the story is he broke into the house, I believe it was in the wee hours of the morning, screaming, "Where's Nancy?" That's what they've reported. And then mercilessly beat Paul Pelosi with a hammer. I mean, it's deranged and unhinged. But many people are trying to figure out what the motivations of this man was. Of course, immediately people on the right were saying, sounds like crime. It's San Francisco. Why would we assume otherwise? I think that's logical. Many on the left said, clearly, it's Republicans, it's MAGA, this is what they want for you. Well, they were wrong. It turns out he listed himself as a member of the Green Party. Voting records show DePape listed himself as a member of the Green Party years ago. So this is not somebody who just had it on his profile. It's not the media just claiming it. It's actually in his records, Green Party. Green Party is leftist. Now, it's not like Antifa. It's not like Democrats or anything. It's like its own, sect of leftists, but that's what it is. It was an unhinged leftist conspiracy theorist. When I talk to people on the left and I say that the left has their share of conspiracy weirdos, they always tell me that's not true. And then you point out the weird hippie crystals, natural health, anti-government, anti-war stuff, and they say, oh, but that's not really left-wing. And I'm just like, shut up, dude. Bro, the guy was a leftist. I'm not saying that's why he did it. He was an anti-government conspiracy theorist. This doesn't have to be about politics. It can be about a crazy guy, but...
Yeah, being for natural health isn't a conspiracy theory. But anyway,
I'm not saying that.
It's a way of life.
I'm saying there are conspiracy theorists who have like a conspiracy view of natural health stuff.
It's kind of sad how, something tragic happens, something really bad happens, someone gets seriously hurt, and the first thing that happens is everyone jumps online trying to blame it on some other political opponent for their own political purposes. I think it's fair to say this guy was crazy. He was unhinged. He was absolutely a lunatic, and it's horrible. It sucks what happened here, and of course, it should be always said that this should never happen.
And not out of place in San Francisco, which has a massive mental health crisis. You have people like this Green Party guy all over the streets. So, I mean, it goes without saying that it's probably just a matter of the crime, the homelessness. I think he had a house. He lived with roommates or something. But
dude had there's a pride flag, an American flag, pride flag in front of the house, apparently.
Well, he was living in Berkeley, a part of a nudist organization and group too.
Public safety investigative reporter for NBC Bay Area posted this image of this house, and there's a pride flag. That is not a right-wing dude. Now, look, I agree with you, Luke, and I think there's an inherent problem with how we try to fairly represent this. If this was when it was only known that he posted election conspiracy theories, they were all like saying, "Oh, it's MAGA, it's Trump supporters. This proves it." They immediately latched on and went for the political attack. Then we find out it's a Green Party guy with a pride flag, and we go, guys, calm down. We shouldn't make this political, right? That's a huge problem. I'm not saying I know a solution.
I say we should ban nudists and put them into camps. Clearly, the nudists are surely responsible for all of this, and they were working for this all along, especially with their secret society and organization that they have set up in San Francisco, where they have been clearly popping up out of nowhere randomly all the time. I'm telling you.
What if? I'm just imagine. I want you to bear with me, and I want you to imagine a perfect world for a moment. Tomorrow, Nancy Pelosi holds a press conference, and she says, "I cannot believe what happened to my husband. If he had a Magnum 357, this wouldn't have happened. I am now in favor of the Second Amendment."
That was my second thought. The first thought was, well, how injured was he? Hopefully he's okay, kind of thing. And then the second
brain
thing
surgery.
was like, did he have a gun?
Man.
He didn't fire on this home intruder, and I wish
you can't have a gun in San Francisco, bro.
Yeah, so like, if he had a gun and the guy broke in with a hammer to crack his skull, he probably would have fired on the guy, put him down, and then ended the invasion.
Ian, that again is a radical idea that makes no sense at all. Clearly, what we have to do here is ban hammers. Hammers are the problem. There's too many of them. Anyone could just get them without any background checks. Anyone could just transfer a hammer to another person. Clearly, right now, the government has to intervene. Go to Home Depot immediately. Shut down the hammers.
No. No one is actually saying ban hammers. We just want common sense hammer control.
Okay. Yes. No military grade hammer handles. We don't want any scary hammer heads.
No black hammers.
No black hammers at all.
No.
It needs to have an orange tip.
No bump stock. No bump stock hammers.
Right.
Can somebody? It's time to start making the memes. Whatever. No, it's time to start making the memes We need to start making memes of bump stock hammers, pistol grip hammers, pump action hammers.
Yeah,
Just
assault
have at it,
hammers.
friends.
Scope
An AR-15 with a hammer
with a scope
attachment.
on it.
No, but
Hammer foregrip.
But you brought up a great point, Ian. Absolutely. People should be armed, especially if they're elderly, especially if they're living in a crime-ridden place like San Francisco, especially if they're popular and everyone knows where they live. This is not the first time that the Pelosi's have had their house targeted. Everyone should have the right to defend themselves. And whether you're a woman or someone who's elderly or someone who's weak or fragile, whatever it may be, what is the great equalizer is you having the ability to be able to defend yourself, and a firearm does that more and better than anything else out there.
I also want to know what prescriptions he was on, what pills, because this is really what it comes down to. It's a mental health crisis. We got a lot of people on these heavy antidepressants, and it sends them off the deep end. And maybe he was just a nice, hippie, peaceful Berkeley guy, just living out his best life in the nude, and then he snapped. That's the real story.
Maybe he ate Taco Bell. And then he just went like...
And some raw milk.
Maybe the Taco Bell had a bunch of SSRIs in it
Yes.
that someone just laced in there
yes.
accidentally when they were working for the company, and then that brain chemistry just got all out of whack, and then bada bing, bada boom.
Now, this is not a natural health conspiracy, but I do think if you eat nothing but fast food, your brain is probably going to be messed up in a certain way. And what I mean is, like, simply put, you're probably missing some nutrients if you're only eating a lot of this garbage. Like that Super Size Me guy. He said the reason he wanted to eat McDonald's for 30 days was because if they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they clearly want you to be eating it. Their response was like, we don't expect someone to eat nothing but McDonald's. But it's like, dude, if you're selling food, people are going to eat your food.
That should be the regulatory standard. It's like if you only eat your food for X period of time, what are the impacts? It shouldn't just be the one-off time you eat it. It should be a set period of time over a month, whatever it is.
Yeah, otherwise you should have a prescription.
Right.
If you're not able to have it, well, I guess what do they say with alcohol? Just use it at your own
Well, that's how the
discretion.
prescriptions are regulated. How does it impact you over the entire time of the prescription? It should be the same if you're for food, a month, 2 months, whatever it is.
So here's what's funny. They say in the San Francisco Chronicle that the dude had a blog with screeds about the ruling class, right-wing conspiracy theories, and racial slurs. Yo, the populist stuff is left and right. That's the thing. Like, he was Green Party. It was funny. I saw someone post. I can't remember who posted it. They said that, like, the Venn diagram of a Trump supporter and a nudist Berkeley hippie is not a circle. And I'm like, it probably overlaps.
Right.
To be completely, like, for real. A bunch of anti-war leftists became Trump supporters.
Well, 8 million Obama voters, 9 voted
Yeah.
for Trump. I mean, there was a huge Bernie contingent after the primary. I mean, this is a real phenomenon. And like you said, it's a populism that crosses partisan lines. And it really just speaks to the anti-establishment nature of a lot of these guys. He's clearly anti-establishment if you're going to try to assign any kind of overarching political ideology to him. But beyond that, I mean, where this guy falls on a right-left spectrum, who knows? I mean,
They mentioned he posted Q stuff too, and that's why I'm like, the dude's clearly just crazy.
Yeah.
But if you want to play games, in the media, well, he was a Green Party.
right.
There you go.
Yeah, I think when you talk about ruling class, it's really an economic issue, and that can be left or right. Or up or down, I suppose.
Well, it's really not. Yeah, it's not that linear spectrum. It's that square. The libertarians always like to use with the authoritarian, non-authoritarian, economic, statism. Laissez-faire. So if you put it on that, it makes a little more sense. But
He was a hemp jewelry maker. Like,
No wonder he went off.
He's probably blown his mind out on psychoactives, is my guess.
Where's Nancy? So Daily Mail says he had a hit list of other politicians.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he's behind bars. Is that what's the
He's
status
facing
right now?
attempted murder charges
Yeah.
right now.
was he going to be let
He's
off?
Canadian.
He's Canadian. Oh, there you go.
Also,
Really?
apparently
Yeah.
anti-Semitic as well.
I think he's just crazy.
Yeah.
And
It's the first thing.
it's funny that what's going to happen now based on the Q stuff and the election stuff is the left is going to say he's a right winger.
Right.
And then when you point out he's a Green Party, they're going to be like, no, that doesn't matter because he did this. You know what I mean?
What annoys me about this is that you go to the city and you have attacks like this on the subway weekly, monthly, constantly. Asian Americans, Jewish Americans, whoever it is, they get attacked by lunatics like this, and those guys are out, within a week from bail reform or whatever, and then obviously it finally hits home to the elites. And I'm not trying to downplay it; it's obviously horrible what happened to her husband, but it just goes to show that it's only becoming an issue, and there's only going to be some serious reform.
There was a guy in New York City that was caught on a viral video putting an axe in front of a woman's face after smashing up a McDonald's,
Yes.
threatening to to essentially
And they interviewed
kill
him.
her with it. He got out the next day.
And he was on New York One. He was doing interviews. He was on the media circuit, and he was like, "Oh, well, listen, I just had it was hot. I had a rough day," and it was like,
Yeah.
this could have been this guy."
And then a couple days later, he got arrested again from stealing a bike and running away after doing graffiti. And again, this guy, of course, is going to have a very stiff sentence. This guy is, of course, going to be kept in jail. Other people who commit other crimes,
On
other
regular
crazy
Joe
people,
Schmoes.
on regular Joe Schmoes, they just get let go every single day because of the George Soros-appointed district attorneys
Correct.
all throughout the United States that have been causing havoc everywhere. And when I was talking about banning hammers and blunt objects, we got to understand, many years, according to the FBI statistics, more people have died from hammers than rifles.
I'm pretty sure it's illegal to walk around Chicago with a baseball bat.
Well, it depends. If you're coming from like a baseball field, like it depends on how you're brandishing it, right? No?
My understanding, at least this is what the cops told us. They were like, if we see you with a baseball bat, we can arrest you for possession of a weapon. But typically, if you have a baseball bat and a baseball together, they could, but you probably won't get in trouble. But that's how broken things are. So in Illinois, I'm pretty sure like the only weapon, or in Chicago, the only weapon you can have. It used to be this way pre the what was the decision in D.C.? Was it Heller? Was it Heller? I don't know. You someone want to look it up? The handgun decision in 2008.
it was Heller versus.
You could only have a 2-foot-long rubber switch for whacking somebody.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the criminals had guns.
Right.
So we know how that worked out.
It's just asymmetrical warfare. Law-abiding citizens. You're off on your own with that rubber thing you just mentioned, and good luck bringing it to a gunfight.
Dude, I don't know if you guys saw this video out of New York where there's a guy in a hood on the subway, and then another guy is just walking, minding his own business. First guy just runs full speed, and then boom, body slams him right onto the tracks, and then runs for it.
What happened to that guy that got knocked on the tracks?
I don't know about that guy.
I
I know
thinking,
that
like-
several people have been killed.
Yeah.
What would you do if you
29
saw
people.
that happen in front of you? Jump down on the tracks, grab the guy, and get him up onto the platform?
You try, I guess.
Like,
but
you don't want to land
You
on
want to
the
make
third
sure
rail.
he's not touching the
the
third
third
rail.
rail.
and you can't touch him. You'll get locked in.
Well, there's always delays.
Or
and
blown back.
Every time there's a delay like that, I mean, you know what happened. You may not be at that stop. You may be a whiles
Yeah.
away, but it's a commute. Either someone did it themselves, it's a suicide, or one of these instances.
When I lived in New York, I used to think like, okay, I don't need to work out all the time. I wasn't obsessed with being strong, but I was like, I need to be strong enough so that if someone falls on the track, I can jump down and get them up out of the track.
I consciously think about where my head would land if I was just pushed, if it would make it to the track, and I just try to give myself an extra foot or two in case someone comes from behind. But depending on the force, it doesn't really matter. They can get you onto the tracks if they really push.
And then I'm sure MTA will say, don't go down there. It's too dangerous. Don't put yourself at risk if someone falls on the track. But that goes through my head. I'm like, God, I hope that guy's okay.
Is it, Luke, was it Japan or Singapore where they have glass blocking?
It's Singapore.
Japan.
Singapore?
It's Singapore. There was in high school when they installed those. And it's like basically just doors that are exactly like the train doors. They open and then they allow you to go through the door.
But
and then to the
the
train
airports
doors.
do
glass.
that.
Yep,
Oh,
there's a separate glass line just
I
for
think
that exact
Japan does
reason.
that too.
Japan does that as well.
Yeah, not for
and then,
crime,
and then
for
if,
suicide.
If you kill yourself in Japan, there's particular lines and particular access roads where there's bigger fines for the family members of the
Correct.
individual that killed themselves than other roadways that aren't as popular.
Well,
so your family gets fined
like
in Japan if you kill yourself.
That is interesting. They have seppuku, right? Which is like a traditional thing of like an honor suicide or whatever.
Yep.
And so it's interesting that there is an element of some kind of high suicide in Japan. I wonder if that's just like a cultural thing persisted, so people are more willing to do it. I don't know.
Culture, long working hours. I feel it's a litany.
No
of things.
families, no babies. They sell more adult diapers than baby diapers.
Oh, they're-
Oh,
there.
well, that's coming to a country near you.
That's
You kidding?
it's
Population
not coming.
cliff.
It's here. It's already here. because of more ways than
we
one.
We went to a theme park, and this was the Halloween party at
Yep.
a theme park. It was dead. There was no one there.
Well, this is why
So-
Disney is shifting to like nostalgia porn
Yep.
for like 30, 40-year-olds because
Mm-hmm.
they don't have that child family market anymore.
Nope.
I predicted this recently, that the phenomenon of Abe Simpson saying, you know, when I was young, I was with it. Then they changed what it was, and now what it is scary to me, and it'll happen to you too. That's not going to happen to us.
Yeah.
And the reason is the millennial generation is probably going to be the biggest generation.
Drop off.
And that's it. It's it.
Children
We're
of
the
men.
top of the hill. And Gen Z may be a little bit bigger, so maybe it's Gen Z. But afterwards, it's going to get lower and smaller, and the population's already contracting. That's a fact. Outside of any pandemics, war, World War III, or otherwise, the future generations are smaller and smaller. So what's going to happen is Disney's shifting to nostalgia marketing for one simple reason. They're like, we got 30 million potential millennials to sell to, or 10 million kids. Sell to the older millennials. There's more of them. There's more money. If 10 million little kids brought $1, what are we going to get?
Right.
If the millennials come, they'll bring their kids, we'll get even more money, target the nostalgia. So that means they're going to keep trying to pander to the millennial, probably like a range of millennial to Gen X with
Right.
mostly millennial in the middle. That's who they're going to be targeting.
I don't think people realize when you hit these TFR, total fertility rates, like 1.2, 1.3. I mean, the drop off is significant, and Japan is just going to be suffering like population decline in the millions for the next few decades. Already are.
Same with China.
China as well.
Same with majority of Europe.
Yep.
Correct.
All of Eastern
So-
Europe, Western Europe. Yep.
Well, so we went to this haunted house thing. There was booze and there was food and there was rides, and it was a little older crowd. It was packed. We go to the theme park, mostly for kids. I mean, like there was a zip line there that I sat on, and then I was hitting the ground because they're like, I'm a man, But I was well under the weight limit, well under, and it was like a family thing, and so we went there, and it was mostly kids, but there was like 30 in the whole place.
Wow.
So I was like, yo, where is everybody? People don't have kids. Where are the kids? I don't know.
Did it cost money to get in?
Yep.
Maybe they were broke.
Well, you get a charge card to do anything in the park, and then spend
Was
money.
it like $30 to get in or something?
No.
No, like you get a card, and if you want to do anything, you have to tap the card too. So if like you wanted to play mini golf, you tap it. If you want to go on a ride,
So it's free to get in, and then it's like pay per ride.
but you can't do anything unless you get a card.
It's just the signs of a dying society, and then you have the other side of it is that the millennials, these young adults, they're just becoming infantilized because they're not progressing to the next stage of their life, with a family or even other things, a business, etc., economic reasons. But
Intentionally.
I mean, look, it's great. You have a smaller population to control. It's a lot easier than a population growing that has to worry about its posterity. I mean, you got these leaders in Europe like Merkel. She's not there anymore, but none of them had children. So what do they care? What do they care about the future of their nation state, whether it's Germany or France, whatever it is?
Kamala doesn't have any children as well.
Yeah.
Does Justin Trudeau have any kids?
I
don't know.
know.
Probably cousins in Cuba.
So I wonder if it's these devices. This is what Dr. Phil was saying. Oh, yeah, he has 3 kids, apparently. Dr. Phil was like, it's the first generation of people raised on these devices.
Right.
From since
Yes.
2007,
Yeah.
it's this. And then you've got the fentanyl that the Chinese are putting into the Mexican cartels that are being shipped up to destroy our culture that way. I don't know if that's the intention, but that's what's happening.
It's like the opium wars.
Did you
And the
guys?
food supply.
Did you guys see the viral video where it's like this TikTok young teenage girl, Gen Z girl, being like, "My mom won't give up her CDs," and she's filming and she's like, "This is my family's CD collection, and my mom won't get rid of them." And then her mom is standing there and she goes, "I am not getting rid of them. I got rid of my albums, then they came back. I want my CDs." And she goes, "Mom, I can play any one of these songs faster on my phone." And she goes, "No, it's because I don't remember these bands." She's like, "I like Oingo Boingo. I wouldn't even remember that they were around unless I looked at the CD." But what's fascinating in that interaction is the young kid raised on the phone is like, "But I can just play Go." And it's like, you are too young, I suppose, to understand. No, I'm sorry. Youth isn't the reason for it. You are lacking in context and information. There were people who gave up their vinyl collections thinking like vinyl's going out the window. Vinyl never died. Now all of a sudden they're worth tremendous amounts of money.
Yep.
You go to these resale shops, antique shops, and it's like the prices are going up and up and up. So yeah, this woman's like, "I'm not giving up these CDs." There's going to be a nostalgia factor. People are going to want to pop those CDs in. But she makes another really good point. Yo, when I put on music on Pandora and Spotify, I don't even know half the bands that are playing. I don't grab my phone and then type in music. So the
Like
young,
we don't know phone numbers anymore.
Right, we don't know phone numbers anymore. But the main point is, the commentary I saw on this is, you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Yeah.
This little kid is like, "Just rent the idea of music from the machine, Mom. What's the problem?" And the mom's like, "I want my music that I own."
Tangible.
I like
That's right.
that you phrased it that it was really the problem was the ignorance of the kid. It was the ignorance of the human that was like, didn't realize the benefit of like, if they had a vinyl, because it's not Gen Z that's the problem. It's the ignorance. And a lot of times kids are ignorant just because they're kids and they don't have the world experience yet. Some kids actually aren't ignorant because they have fantastic parents.
And some old people are extremely ignorant. So it's not youth that's the issue.
But has any generation in human history gone through so much technological, societal, cultural change in such a short period of time? I mean, these are things that typically have happened over centuries, millennia. I mean, if you look at a regular Joe Schmo from 1820, is he that much different from 1720, 1620, 1520. I mean, yeah, there's things on the margins, but the change from, say, post-World War II to today is on a scale that we've never seen before, and I feel like it's almost evolutionary at this point, and I think it's leading to a lot of the psychological issues we're seeing, a lot of the mental health crisis. I mean, people can't cope with this change. They're just not, it's not ingrained in them.
Yeah, you would think that with access to the world's information, you'd be able to solve every problem, and that every problem would be solved as a result. But just because we can, obviously, the test is shown, doesn't mean that we will.
Correct.
Yeah, I think this has been the most rapid advancement in the human consciousness ever. In the history of our species.
And it's all novel. We don't know, like, where we make fun of, the millennials, the Zoomers, whatever they are, but there's really nothing to look back on. There's no historical point of reference.
I hope what really happened is that like aliens showed up at Roswell, and then it was an accident, and they're like, ah, crap. Meet with the government, and they're like, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you rapid communications technology to bring your people up to speed. And they're like, all right. And now the aliens are sitting back laughing as if they gave chickens like ultra weapons, and they're just watching us be really dumb with it. They're like, they're gonna wipe themselves out with this data impropriety. That's what they're doing. People don't understand the algorithmic manipulation. I don't know if it was Elon Musk that said this. I think it was. He said the current thing may actually be chosen by an algorithm. So there are people who are like on the trends on Twitter being like, I like mustard ice cream. And it's like a robot just decided to promote that one day. And now you're marching in lockstep with it.
The algorithm is the new Holy Spirit of our world.
Exactly.
It's just touching things in different ways. But what you were saying before about, how they're, the people aren't processing, all these new innovations, et cetera. I mean, it's the same way of looking at it as, it's like you get a new toy, and it's just like, a new gadget, a new car, and you're just obsessed with it. You're just diving into it head first. And that just becomes part of you. That's your whole existence now. And I feel like we're seeing that on a generational scale. It's just this obsession, this tech focus. But everything that we've designed, whether it's all this access to knowledge, we're not becoming smarter, we're not solving problems. All this access to social networks, communication, we're becoming more and more disconnected, more atomized. It's all having this counter effect.
I think one of the issues that we're facing clearly is that there's just too many people, and we're not guiding reproduction wisely. So maybe the first thing we need to do is maybe like a great reset down to like 500 million people.
I don't know if that's the right marketing term.
Then we'll guide population reproduction. What did the Guidestones say, Luke? I tried to do. I couldn't.
800,000.
No. The Guidestone said guide reproduction wisely or something.
Oh my god.
Yes.
So that's the idea.
Right.
The idea.
They know better. Everyone knows better except us.
Well, the algorithm is producing reproduction digitally. I like that you phrased that it's like the Holy Spirit. The algorithm is our current. Is that what you said? The Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Because imagine if someone owned God and they were able to control it, and they knew what it was doing, but no one else knew what it was doing.
And make everyone think and see one particular thing when they want them to see it.
You guys don't trust
And
the
ban
science?
particular ideas against that particular thing that they want you to believe.
Social engineering.
That's godlike power.
It'd be crazy. You know how they've been trying to do this augmented reality thing for a long time?
Right.
Like Google Glass was like a rudimentary version where you'd look up to the right and there's a little screen there.
Right.
Now they've got the Meta Pro Quest or
bombing.
whatever. And like the idea is they're like goggles, and you'll see the real world, but it'll augment it. Imagine in the future, they tell everybody, you can see through these glasses, you'll see everything like normal, and then you'll also see the augmented reality stuff. But the augmented reality stuff is very easily discernible from real life, right? The graphics aren't as good.
Until it's not.
And then one day, everybody sees the same thing across the sky, an explosion, and they don't realize it's actually a trick in the augmented reality. You see what I'm saying?
Or they don't want to take it off because they take the glasses off and everyone's fat, ugly, and miserable. So they put it back on. Everyone looks beautiful.
Well, what I'm saying is fake events happen where everyone thinks with my AR goggles, I choose what AR I see. So I'll load up my menu and I'll go like this, okay, Facebook, and then Twitter, and then tweet, send. And then all of a sudden, kaboom, explosion in the sky. And they think it's reality, but it's actually augmented reality. But everyone sees the same thing, reports seeing it, and then everyone assumes it really happened when it didn't.
Fact, yeah.
Yeah, I've been noticing a trend on Twitter the last couple of weeks where at the top you get that For You big thing, and it says video about fill in the blank was doctored, experts say. This recent video about White House correspondent was doctored. Video was doctored. Video was changed. So like this is like in the last 2 weeks, I've noticed this probably like 4 times or 5, maybe 4 times. that the age of deepfake is upon us. Whether or not that's going to be AR or just actual video that we watch on TV, we don't even know.
Or they'll
fake.
accuse real things of being deep fakes.
So
real.
there was a story in the press that Ron DeSantis met with Clarence Thomas the day before the Dobbs decision came down, ending Roe v. Wade. The real story was that a year and a day before, the media runs this story without fact checking it. And now the guy who wrote it was a secondary source reporting. So emails get released by a nonprofit. Raw Story writes a story. Independent copies Raw Story. Independent then realize, oops, we got it wrong. Guy says, I'm so embarrassed to take it down. But think about this. The defamation of lying about somebody in an election is the cost of doing business for these people. If you can win a governorship for 4 years, is it not worth the $50 million defamation lawsuit? Hey, man, these races cost more than that. Right. So you can we're getting to the point where Fetterman's campaign's been just making things up. Imagine how dark it's going to get. When I was on Rogan's show, this was like a year ago, he asked me how I felt about deep fakes, and I said, I don't think it's going to get that crazy. I think it won't be, no. And now I'm like, I was way wrong. They're going to make a deep fake, and it's going to be a grainy video of Ron DeSantis' supporters to make it look like it's a cell phone, so it's easily faked. And he's going to say something not ridiculous, just kind of bad.
Right.
The real effective stuff is not going to be Ron DeSantis coming out and screaming the N-word. It's going to be him saying something like, look, when it comes to COVID, there's only so much you can do. So yeah, are people going to die? A lot of people are going to die. I can't be bothered with it all the time. Something like that, where it's like believable.
And there's going to be a Wild West period as this tech rapidly develops that there's no legal precedent for the defamation, like you're saying. So how are they going to treat these deep fakes? What are the repercussions going to be? And it's going to be an insane period of time before the law catches up, if the law and the regulatory system ever catches up. It may never.
You can't. Yeah. These things are going to appear in court.
Yeah.
And then a video, not only that, a real video will appear in court. And someone will be like, I filmed this guy punching a dog. And he'll say, deep fake.
You won't believe it.
And then dude, it's this simple.
The grand deep fake defense.
Call a lawyer. You get your lawyer. Your lawyer finds an expert. And they said, your lawyer calls 10 experts. Here's the video. Is it a deep fake? Nope, that's real. Okay. Expert number 2. Is it deep fake? No, it's real. Number 3. No. 4, 5. Finally, expert number 10. It looks like a deep fake to me. Excellent. You're hired. Would you like to appear at this trial? Then he shows up and says to the jury, I am a video expert. I've been working for 20 years. I watched the video. It does not seem genuine. Now this dude who actually committed a crime could maybe even get off just because the technology exists.
Right. So when we have experts in court, should we have to say how many experts were interviewed and then how many experts were chosen?
No.
Of the 12 experts, the one that we chose says this, the other 9 or 11 said this.
That's not how it works.
I think we need more transparency in our legal system, especially with software code and apparently with experts, end quote, if we're going to be putting people on the stand.
But Ian, what if, okay, how about another scenario? A crazy extremist makes a deep fake of you punching a dog. You get arrested. You go to an expert, and he goes, "You're Ian Crossland from Timcast. I don't want to be involved. It's real. It's real." And they go through 9 experts who all say the same thing, like, "Dude, I don't want to be targeted. It's a real video." And then finally, they get one guy who goes, "I don't care what show you're on, Ian. I watched the video. I did the analysis. It's fake." And then you go to trial and they say, but let's pull up the 9 other experts. And they all go, oh, it's a real video. Please don't burn my house down. It's a real video.
What's sad about all this is we could talk about, the theoretical implications of these deep fake technology, but, you have this media class that will publish defamatory hit pieces without even using deep fakes. They'll just claim you said something, you believe something, you are something, white supremacist, racist, Nazi, whatever, and they don't need a deep fake. They'll just print it, put in the headline, and that's what you are. You're branded, and there's no recourse, which goes back to, the state of our defamation laws, and it's only going to get worse with the deep fake. It's only going to get worse, but it's pretty bad right now, and we have no solution.
Cultural reinforcement, man. I think about, I feel like the only solution is to get people to come together to believe in the things I believe in order to survive this crazy ride.
There's no national consensus ever coming back anytime soon.
And, I don't know. How do you do it without manipulating people?
Let's jump to this next story. Let's get to Elon Musk here. So from Timcast.com, Twitter accounts will not be reinstated until new Content Moderation Council convenes, says Elon Musk. He says Twitter will be forming a Content Moderation Council with widely diverse viewpoints. No major content decisions or account reinstatements will happen before that council convenes. Let me just break this down for all you guys. First, it is a victory, a tremendous victory that Elon Musk has purchased Twitter. I'm glad to see that something good is happening. But Elon, like us, is making a mistake. Earlier on in the show, in a previous segment, for those that are just tuning in, we mentioned that the person who attacked Paul Pelosi at the Pelosi house was a leftist. We also went on to mention that he does have a bunch of weird conspiracies, is a nudist, and is probably just a crazy person. Meanwhile, leftists are trying to claim he's a MAGA guy because he denied the election and posted Q stuff. At any moment, in every moment, the left will outright just be like, it's MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene said, we won't forget the companies that stopped donating because of 2020. And a prominent Twitter leftist said, this is a direct threat and it's why Pelosi got attacked, blah, blah, blah. They go to the extreme end. Elon Musk is telling us right now, he's going to invite them to sit down and discuss how to handle censorship. You see, before Elon bought Twitter, he said the appropriate solution should be where there's a compromise and everyone's a little unhappy. But he doesn't realize the conservatives, the independents, the libertarians, post-liberals have already compromised, saying outright, we accept the left will say naughty words. We just want to be able to express our opinions. The left then says, we want you banned and we can do whatever we want. There's no compromise there because you've got one side that already compromised and the left saying to everything or nothing. If Elon Musk is going to form a moderation council and invite the woke left in to go, but my feelings are hurt when he said I was ugly, then he's going to go, all right, well, let's give the left a little bit of what they want. The only problem, that is literally what Vijaya Gadde and Jack Dorsey did. Jack Dorsey and Vijaya were basically running Twitter like, okay, conservatives don't care that leftists are on the platform. They won't leave. So we don't have to do anything for them. They're content. But the left will leave unless we ban some conservatives. Here's the compromise. We don't ban all of the conservatives, only a few to make the left think we're doing something, and then the right won't leave because we're not banning everybody. That's the problem. This will not work. It's a bad move, and Elon needs to go in now, independently of his own volition, and release the political prisoners. And he needs to accept he is responsible for this. And there's no diverse viewpoint that's going to solve the problem.
Amen. And I hope this is just fluff to cover, his tracks from a PR perspective for any next moves. But he has to come out guns blazing, open up the prison cells, release everybody, and just overwhelm the left with all the reforms and changes he's going to make. Because if he starts doing it piecemeal, they're going to just attack it piecemeal, and they're going to divide and conquer. And it's going to be this messy, drawn-out situation with this ridiculous, fluffy-sounding council, which honestly sounds no different than things they've done in the past.
It's exactly what they already were doing.
Yeah, if you're going to build a council, don't build a council of people to decide who gets banned and who gets unbanned. Get a council of people to decide how to build a system so that the bannings and unbannings can happen judiciously.
Right. Nothing good comes out of committee.
Tell us about Minds.
The Minds jury system is legitimate. I think this is the way to go. So what happens is if you're on Minds and your stuff gets flagged, someone in the administrative team will be like, okay, that they got flagged, they got banned. And then if you don't agree, you appeal it. It goes to people that have opted in on Minds to the jury system, like up to 12 or more random people. Get the content. It says, does this violate the terms of service? Then they have an opportunity to swipe right or swipe left if they're on their phone or whatever, or say yes or no, if it violates it or if it doesn't. So if enough people say, yeah, it violates it, you're still banned. You can appeal it maybe twice. You can 3 times. If you say, no, it doesn't violate it, you get a majority of people, then it's unbanned. And then if it gets flagged again, goes back through the process. Now, if a jury member is saying it doesn't violate the terms, but it does, and they keep repeatedly doing that on things that keep coming up and they keep getting it wrong, they eventually lose their ability to be on the jury.
That shouldn't happen.
I disagree because I think people will abuse it. What they'll do is they'll vote how they want it. I want it to be on the site, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking if it violates the terms.
Jury nullification is exactly, I think this shouldn't be illegal and I won't convict someone for it.
Well,
nullification needs to exist. And hold on. The reason why I think that's a bad move, a bad element of it, is that let's say the platform becomes dominated by really awful people who want to see free speech banned.
Wikipedia.
And there's a handful of people are saying this didn't break the rules. Why are you saying it did? And then all of a sudden, Minds comes down and says, "Look, the majority has repeatedly said you're wrong, so we're removing you."
Well, then what would happen?
Dissent must be allowed to remain.
I think what would happen is an admin at Minds would review if like a bunch of people are saying it's not violating, it's not, but it is, and then you're like, okay, who are all these accounts that keep saying it's not violating? Why do they keep saying it's not when it is?
Then you have to review them both.
It sounds
Why are
good
they
on
saying
paper.
it's violating when it doesn't?
It sounds good on paper, but this is how Wikipedia devolved, and you have this organized, ideologically driven minority maybe on that platform that decides the edits, that approves the edits, that controls the entire editing hierarchy, it will be taken over Fabian
That's just-
style.
But the
Well,
argument is because it's a random selection of jurors every time that
But you can't-
there's no cabal.
Right, but you can't punish a juror for giving their honest thoughts.
You can downrank their
No, that's-
ability if they're not accurate.
No,
This needs to
absolutely
be a-
not.
yeah.
Absolutely not.
I think so.
It's a
So-
private company. Make it a dictatorship.
Imagine
Come out.
if we said in public, in a legitimate criminal trial, you're like, this guy is not guilty. And they're like, well, everyone else said he was. You must be wrong. We're not going to let you be on a jury trial anymore. That is insane.
Well, this
you have
isn't-
you have a civic duty and right.
If it's illegal, it's off the site. I mean,
That I
if it's
understand.
an illegal thing and someone's saying it's legal, then I don't think they should be a juror.
I understand that, but that means you have to review every single person, whether they said it was good or bad.
Or you can algorithmically calculate people that are inaccurate and then just over time downrank
It's the Holy
viability.
Spirit again. It's the algorithm.
But the algorithm would be public. It would be like a free software algorithm that you can go on GitHub and look at.
So the facts matter here when it comes to this particular case, and there's a lot of other things happening behind the scenes. There's a lot of things happening with a coordinated media push right now to try to get advertisers off of Twitter. But Elon Musk just 20 minutes ago tweeted that there have been no changes to the Twitter content moderation policies. He also tweeted today that, quote, comedy is now legal on Twitter. Michaela Peterson responded to him and asked, hey, can you get my father back on the platform? And he said specifically, quote, anyone suspended for minor and dubious reasons will be freed from Twitter jail. That's a direct comment from Elon Musk on his official Twitter account. Now, let's factor this in. A lot of people have been banned on Twitter. A crap ton of them. Would you want to be the one solely responsible looking at that list saying, okay, no, this guy did something bad here, going through all the history here? I wouldn't want that
Jury
responsibility.
system.
I wouldn't want that job. This is why he's announcing some kind of counsel. How will he handle it? It's going to be interesting. I just hope he's not being swayed by the Washington Post. That, by the way, again, I talked about this yesterday. Bill Gates literally is putting money into organizations to launch attacks on Twitter right now.
Pressure
He has
campaign.
been doing this and has been planning this for months. The Washington Post came out today and is telling people how to turn off their advertisements on their settings on Twitter so they could sabotage Twitter and, of course, the money that they get from advertisers. GM just announced that they're temporarily suspending ads on Twitter. What will happen moving forwards? Well, I'm still optimistic. His tweets are saying he's going to make sure that he's going to undelete the censored people on social media, including people like Jordan Peterson. I'm hopeful. I think he's going to do it, but I think it's going to take time.
He needs to hold the line. He needs to realize it's going to be tough in the beginning, obviously with the advertisers, the pressure campaigns, etc. But they have nowhere else to go from an advertising perspective. They're going to come back. This was never going to be a financially lucrative deal, at least not for the long run. Twitter was never making money, so the advertising is just sort of putting off some of the financial losses that the company's suffering. But at the end of the day, he needs to come out. He needs to be bold. He needs to unban these people immediately. And if he dilly-dallies, if he dithers, they're going to smell blood. They're going to jump on it, and they're going to come after him. And his reputation's on the line because this was a massive ordeal that he undertook. And, I think I agree with everyone here. It's going to be better no matter what on the margins. But if he backs off and he doesn't fulfill it, he's going to look like a total fool. He's a total fool. He owns the company. It's private. He has full dictatorial powers effectively to set these standards. He could, devolve some power to some stupid council, but at the end of the day, he should come out, set the standards, set the maxim from everything to follow. And if they follow it, good. And if they don't follow it, well, he has other problems.
Or at least, I hope you're wrong, but I kind of agree with you that he should at least do the basic ones. Jordan Peterson, Project Veritas.
That's going to be a good
Babylon
barometer.
B.
Yeah.
Just those basics alone are clear, obvious. You don't need a committee and a commission to figure out that was absolutely wrong for those people to be censored.
Right. And the people down the hierarchy, these minor accounts, these no-name people that were banned for a variety of reasons, that's going to be more complex, and it's probably going to take a lot of time and logistics. Fine. We all understand that, but it takes all 5 minutes, like you said, to look at Jordan Peterson and say, okay, bring him back on.
Elon crossed the Rubicon. He declared war on the cathedral. They've run and in panic, and he's taken Rome. It is now his empire. He needs to just accept what he's done and make the changes he wants to make. Yeah. I don't understand why he would not immediately reinstate the Babylon Bee. Everyone knows he did this because of the Babylon Bee. The Babylon Bee did literally nothing wrong. He said comedy is allowed once again. The first thing he could have done, and if I was Elon, I'd take my phone, I'd press record, I'd walk in the front doors of Twitter. I'd look at the camera and go, hey, guys, hey, who works here? Unban the Babylon Bee. I'm filming. Get it done now. I'm counting.
I'm glad you made the Caesarian reference because Caesar came into Rome and was forgiving and, gave everyone a second chance. And then Brutus, stabbed him in the back and the rest of the Senate. So he cannot go into Rome and take this Caesarian approach that he's going to, love his enemies and give everyone a second chance, all the optimates and the senators and the rest of the Twitterati elite. He needs to come in with an iron fist and crack some skulls and just make it clear that this is the new law of the land and we're not backing down, and they will back off.
But at the same time, if he does something, he's going to have thousands of people come to him. What about me? What about me? Can you do me? Can you do me? Can you do me? And that's a lot of pressure from a lot of powerful people that were censored incorrectly within the last few
he's only
years.
one guy. He needs 15 minutes in between. You know what I mean?
I think you come into Rome, you immediately lay out your new constitution, and then give the power to the people to govern themselves.
We don't even need
I agree.
Rome
Protocol with jury system, constitutional values.
Unban anyone that didn't violate U.S. law and wherever the headquarters. San Francisco is the headquarters, so
Right.
it doesn't violate California state law. Then it unbanned right from the beginning. Then you decide if you need to ban them for terms of service.
So-
Also, all the terms of service are going to change now.
Right. As it
Well, yeah, the
should.
misgendering policy's got to go.
Not every word, but it's up to Elon. He can be as creative as he wants with the terms of service.
It's this simple.
Check out the Minds terms, Elon.
Make it a protocol. Give yourself access to the real estate. Make the real estate sellable, the advertising real estate, as a commodity or asset on a public protocol. And then you effectively give yourself, you make it worth substantially more money. You remove moderation requirements from you and say, if someone, look, here's the way I describe it. If Coca-Cola buys a billboard in Times Square, and then I go stand in front of it holding up a sign with a picture of something really awful, is Coca-Cola going to call up the ad buyer and be like, hey, or their ad seller and be like, well, why is there a man standing in front of my sign saying naughty words? They're going to be like, because he's standing on a public street. Next question, why are you wasting my time? We should not be looking at Twitter in this way. If you want to advertise where the conversation is happening, you recognize people say things you don't like, period.
Right.
They make it a protocol. They make it interoperable with other platforms. They remove their ability to moderate anything and say law enforcement can handle it.
And also with the advertising, I mean, this was a dying platform. This is mostly used by journalists, certain niches of society. It's not this mass public platform like an Instagram or even a TikTok. It is a platform for, different degrees of elites, essentially, talking to other elites and then a few people liking it. The advertisers will come when he turns it back into a platform that people want to be on, people want to engage in, have engaging people, and it's not this controlled, manipulated, bot-infested platform, which it is now, and he bought it extremely overvalued. So he turns it back to what it should be. The advertisers will return, and any political disagreements they have in the interim will be, things of the past.
I actually posted an old video of Elon Musk talking about Twitter, making fun of. I posted this on my shorts on my YouTube channel, which people could watch. I definitely recommend you watch that because Elon Musk talked about his plans for Twitter. He talked about how it's absolutely crazy that it took Twitter 1 year to work on something like an edit button.
Right.
He then went on and was like, we should make this like WeChat. And WeChat is something that's not really popular here in the United States, but in places like China, everyone depends on WeChat for virtually almost every aspect of their life and existence.
You do everything.
That's
You
kinda
do
scary.
everything on WeChat. And this is the type of vision that he has.
X.
That he might transform and change Twitter to X.
Yep.
And again, Twitter made some horrible, absolutely idiotic decisions when it came to their business. They ruined Periscope. They ruined Vine. They had the TikTok before TikTok even existed.
got rid of it.
TikTok right now is dominating all the social media platforms with so many users, with so much engagement, with so much just short-term gratification for a lot of individuals, whether it's good or bad, that's debatable. But YouTube... But Twitter had that live stream ability, had that TikTok ability, and they just threw it in the trash.
They deprecated everything. It's been a history of deprecating features, refusing to release features. It's interesting that in the last year with Twitter Blue, with the edit button, with a whole litany of other features, it's all come out of the woodworks because up until then it was just a series of they had fleets for a while. I remember fleets. They got rid of fleets. That was a little. It was.
They
a little
literally
rough.
had Vine. They had the
They had Vine,
opportunity
exactly.
to be the number one marketplace video service right now. They had it. They could have been it.
And arguably, if you make a comparison to Facebook, if Facebook had not acquired Instagram, Facebook would be done by now. I mean, Facebook, its platform is dying. It's Instagram that keeps it afloat. Had Twitter successfully kept Vine, they would be in a totally different position today.
Absolutely.
I want to pull up this story from Timcast.com. Advertisers threaten boycott if Trump reinstated Twitter. Clients from ad agency that spends $60 billion per year in media spending will pause all ad purchases if Trump's account returns. Why? Why are advertisers saying we don't want Trump on the platform? What do these things have to do with each other other than these are ESG companies? It's politically motivated. Elon Musk needs to recognize this.
Yeah, these are.
But it seems like he's bowing to it.
Well, these are what do you call impact investors, and they're willing to throw money at political causes. They want to see someone other than Donald Trump be elected. The nice thing about owning this company and making it private is that he doesn't. When you have a public company, you have not only do you have shareholders, then you even a private company that you co-own with someone else. Like in the case of Mines, Bill and John ran it together. They each owned half. It was hard to get stuff done because if Bill wanted to do something, it had to go through John. And if John didn't want to do it, it didn't happen. So I imagine at Twitter, there's like 6 guys all with veto power. Impossible. Like you said, it took a year to get an edit button through. Now you got one owner. He says yes, it gets done.
Right. It's
so
it's the power of the dictator.
There's also global corporate collusion with bankers happening under the name of the ESG. And I think this has a lot to do with it, because if they can have companies literally jumping whenever the bankers want them to jump, singing whenever the bankers want them to sing, doing whatever the bankers want them to do under this social credit score, this corporate social credit score, this is another element of it that we have to understand here. This is a coordinated effort by a lot of very powerful people, Bill Gates being one of them, putting all of his money into institutions saying, hey, hurt Twitter now. Twitter is a threat against me, my empire, my money. Right now, people are going to be able to talk and find out all the lies that I told them. People are going to find out all the horrible things I did to them. Red alert. Right now, we need to shut Twitter down, get all the advertisers. And again, Elon Musk has actually addressed this. He talked about doing a subscriber-based model. He talked about changing the financial aspects of Twitter. So he sees this attack coming as well. But we got to understand here, there's very powerful people right now that are going to be looking at Twitter as a direct threat against their hegemony on the narrative, on the conversation, on the truth.
That's the Brutus metaphor of what you were saying earlier. Yeah. The longer Elon holds this hot potato, the more of a target he becomes. So he needs to release it.
Come out forceful, make these radical changes, and overwhelm them, which is what the left does when they're in power. You can make a comparison when Trump was in his office for the first 4 years. He dithered, he dallied. He could have done a lot more things until he waited till the last few months, which was sad. But you make a good point from previously. It really goes back to if you build it, they will come. They could have this hissy fit. They can pull out their money. But if he's truly going to turn this into a new revolutionary platform, move it away from this advertiser beholden structure into something more WeChat, better tech, better features, and the masses come back to Twitter, what are they going to do? They're not going to be able to hold off for long because they're missing a massive market for potential advertising, supply. They're not going to turn that down.
It's me super chatted. Elon needs to charge $5 to tweet at Trump only. Make the rest ad free. $1 trillion a year profit. All the Trump reply guys, it's like, well, if you tweet at Trump, it's $5, and then they would just fund the whole platform. That's it.
That's how you monetize.
There you go.
Twitter
It's as simple as that, huh?
I asked Bill Ottman if he wanted to federate Minds with Twitter, Parler, Rumble, and Truth Social, and he was like, hell yeah, except not the Fediverse because of the limitations. And it was just a vague interaction we had, but he pointed at Nostr, which I mentioned at the beginning of the show. Nostr. It's a protocol. Let's see, and you can go to Nostr. It's on github.com/Nostr-protocol. So I think what's going to happen is all these networks are going to be able to interoperate. Like you'll be able to see Truth Social content while you're logged in, because the problem with the Fediverse is it doesn't have a universal login.
So it's going to aggregate everything.
Yeah. With Fediverse, you'd have to log into like Mastodon to view everything that's federated. And then if Mastodon wants you banned, you can't view anything anymore because your Mastodon account.
We can't write off all tech because all tech definitely pushed Twitter, and obviously he's pushing Elon. It's led to a lot of the tech features they've begun to release. So it's done its job. I hope Elon's, revolution at Twitter doesn't totally, negate everything that you guys are building and others are building.
I think we can take it offline too. Like we could have mesh networks locally with this software, with this Twitter and Minds, all this stuff where like I can tweet at you if you're nearby without having any kind of internet, just on our devices.
Yeah, look, I think Elon needs to communicate much more and much more quickly, because I do not see any logic or reason why certain accounts like the Babylon Bee haven't been reinstated. More importantly, James Lindsay. He got banned for calling someone a groomer who was, is
Literally a groomer.
He's not insulting LGBTQ people. He's literally targeting. He was calling out somebody who was grooming kids. He was banned for that. There are many things that Elon could have walked in and snapped his fingers. If his complaint is that it took him a year to make an edit button, then it's like, okay, I get it. We're on day 1.5 or whatever. But that's why communication's important. Cat Turd tweeted, Elon's taken over. Nothing's changed. Elon said, I'll be digging into this more today. Then he comes out and says, we won't do anything until our committee happens. Are you kidding? Okay, dude, look, I feel like it's if Elon doesn't immediately just pull out the lightning bolt of Zeus and throw it, he's going to keep sitting down, having conversations.
Like Dorsey.
I'll put it this way. The old trope about the president getting elected, and, he's on the campaign trail saying, I'm going to end the wars and I'm going to get the price of gas down. Then he gets into office. The CIA, the FBI, DHS, they all slam all these folders on his desk and say, you can't, and here's why. And then instead of pulling a Trump, where Trump goes, excuse me, I don't know, I don't care, get this out of here, I'm doing what I want, we're getting the troops out. And then they all lost their mind and tried to get rid of him. Elon's going in there, and I worry, and I don't know, it's only been day one, but he may go in and pull a traditional presidential trope in that he goes, I'm going to unban everybody and I'm going to do these things. He sits down and they go, okay, now this advertiser does $300 million per year. They said that if Trump is on the platform, they won't advertise it anymore. If you don't have that money, we lose this core of the company. And then this company says, we don't like Milo. They complained. If you have him on, and then Elon's going to go, okay, so if I have these 10 people banned, we keep all this money and the platform keeps working. All right, well, I guess I'll compromise there. I had a conversation with a tech CEO a long time ago of a big social media platform. And they told me, it's a guy, and he said, Tim, I don't want to ban these people, but if I don't ban this guy, everyone loses the platform. So what am I supposed to do? And I was like, I don't know, grow a pair of balls? Call the bluff of these companies, look them in the eye and say, if you don't want to advertise on the platform that everyone is on and you want to make yourself irrelevant, by all means, Will Wheaton is hanging out who knows where these days. He's not on Twitter or on Mastodon, but I'm sure he's looking for someone to talk to. You can go hang out with them. If you want to be in our house where the party's at, then you accept there are people here who say things you don't like. If Elon doesn't just assert that immediately, we're spiraling back into the same problem.
Right.
The fact that he's saying we need a diverse board to decide this, I'm all like, there we go again.
It's Dorsey
I heard the
stuff.
same thing from Dorsey 3 years ago, and Elon's saying the same thing again. I said it was a bad move. I stand by it.
And I like how he's obviously being very responsive in the Twitter replies, but Jack was the same. And
Exactly.
he went on Rogan, he did all the song and dance, and nothing changed. So he's going to repeat history, and it's going to lead to the continued downfall of Twitter. And again, it goes back to Trump.
But
what do you
now
have
he
to
loses.
lose?
But this is why the Twitter execs cashed out.
Right.
They were like, all right, it's all yours, buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
enjoy.
I have hope
Well,
that things
we'll see
will
what
be different
we'll-
because
let time tell.
Yeah, Jack-
it's still early on here.
when Jack was involved, it was a public company and he didn't have control
Fair,
of it at
fair,
that point
fair.
anymore. He was just kind of saying
was
what
a
he
puppet.
wanted, but Elon has full control at this
Yeah.
point. I mean,
Which means
except
there's
for
no
the
excuse.
FBI and the things like that.
Right.
Legal, he can't do illegal things, obviously. But he's got
Radical
he's got
change.
the reins and he's got his foot on the gas.
The stakes are so
Yeah, we do
high,
need
we have
radical
to hold
change.
his feet to the fire, to the coals. Just the stakes couldn't be higher. This is a civilizational type of thing we're dealing with. This is the public square. This is the means of communication, the way to disseminate any kind of idea. So it's not just any other business. It's not a retail operation. It's not a car company. It's really goes beyond that. Maybe not on the financial side, but certainly on the civilizational side.
Here's what's going to happen. He's convening this diverse viewpoint moderation committee.
Ecumenical council.
And here's what's going to happen. If he does have progressives on it, they're going to say, do not reinstate Alex Jones. He's a violent, authoritarian, fascist bigot. Elon is going to have to tell them to screw off, or he's going to have to listen to them. Either way, what's the point of doing the council? If you got to tell them to screw off anyway, because you know what their answer is going to be, then just unban Jones. If you are not going to, then you're just listening to the mob. There's no middle ground here. There's no magical world where the people who burned down cities for in the George Floyd rise and then lie about it in the media. There's no world where they're like peacefully negotiating with you.
Because the left governs in the private sector and the public sector by their ideology, and their ideology will dictate their actions. And then you have, good intentioned people like Elon coming into it, and they're like, we'll make a committee, we'll make a council, let's let everyone hear it out, and it doesn't go anywhere.
I'll take the win for now. I don't want to be total negative Nancy on this one. It's been good. I'm just genuinely confused as to why he didn't unban the Babylon Bee immediately. It would have been big press. It would have been good. I can imagine a few things. The reason why Twitter bans the people they do is because advertisers demand it. That's it. Because the left is good at organizing. They don't just send complaints themselves. They complain to advertisers and say, we will come for you. These advertisers know. Yeah, they mean it. They'll come with firebombs, bricks, signs. They'll cause us damage. They'll smash the windows out. Let me tell you, if you own a storefront in Portland, or I'll say Berkeley, all the Berkeley storefronts have anti-Trump, or they did, and woke signs. Why? If in the middle of the night someone throws a brick, what can you do? Call the police? You know what the police are going to say? They're going to say, sorry it happened to you. Let us know if anything else happens. See ya. What are they going to do? They're going to launch a big investigation to hunt down a person who ran by with a rock? Never going to happen. But you're going to have to pay thousands of dollars or however much to fix that gigantic window. So then everyone just says, it's easier just to put the sign up and mind my own business. And this is what happens with big corporations. Let's say you sell Sody Pop. And then you get 50 emails from Antifa, from BLM, and they say, we can cause you so much damage, you will regret crossing us. And they go, I don't care about this. Just fine. We'll stop advertising on Twitter. It doesn't make enough money for us anyway. Then Elon or whoever's at Twitter sees that come in. Look, we're getting tons of complaints about Milo. We don't want to advertise on your platform anymore. And they go, look, either we ban Milo or we lose the whole platform. And then they do. And that's the chain of events. Unless someone is willing to say it's either this or nothing, it will not change.
And I mean, that didn't happen yet. If it does, he deserves to be called out. Right. I'm a little bit more optimistic. We're still early on.
Sure. But
let time tell.
Time? What do you mean? We it's been 7 months. We all know the Babylon Bee is unfairly locked out of their accounts.
And so
there's an election next month.
So is Jordan
There's
Peterson.
an election in a week. And Elon Musk finally secures the platform. And if anything he could do is say, my friends, the Babylon Bee shouldn't have been banned. I already know that's true. I am going to remove this lock. As for other people, I don't know. I am going to need some time to work through this. I'd accept that.
And the counter argument to what you just stated before is that Twitter has been thoroughly wokeified for years, and it's an unprofitable, dying platform. It's been continuously making bad mistakes on the tech front. It's losing users. Most of its users are bots. They've tried the fully woke model, and it's not working from a financial perspective. So if he's going to be intimidated by the supposed financial repercussions of allowing more free speech, unbanning the Babylon Bee,
I think the Babylon Bee is back.
Oh, maybe
go on Twitter right now.
I think they're back.
He's watching.
I think Babylon Bee is back right now.
Are they tweeting?
I haven't seen any tweets. I just looked at it a minute ago, and it's like
they're not back.
It was locked, so they weren't like the account wasn't erased or anything. It was just locked until they removed the
tweet in question.
They can't get access to their account to view or post tweets until they remove the offensive tweet on Rachel Levine. So this is what keeps happening.
Which is like literally like this tactic that they do. Regret, take it back now. You've been a bad little company.
I get dozens of messages every day from people who are like, Tim, Trump is back. And I'm like, oh, because they assume that Trump's account shouldn't exist. It's like, no, on Instagram, he can't post anything. On Facebook, his account is there. People think because they can see it, it means they're back. So I hear this nonstop every single time. I made my point. Elon waiting on this. I know it's been a day, so okay, I'll calm down a little bit. We'll see over the week if we're going to get any meaningful changes. I really need.
I think the move.
I don't understand why we didn't see anything.
The move is to do it all at once, and you say in a sweeping move, all accounts that have been banned or locked that didn't violate U.S. state law are hereby reinstated.
Agreed. Yeah, and he could do that today, right now,
and probably take the weekend to do it, and then on Monday morning, he'll do it at a weird. He'll do it 4:20 on Sunday.
And again, it makes it so much harder for them to respond.
The concern is that big advertisers like this one are saying we'll pull our ads. And if there's no money coming in, there's no Twitter. But unless someone breaks the addiction cycle of this broken psychotic machine, it will keep happening.
What's Twitter Blue? You know how much money they're pulling in from Twitter Blue?
It's like $3 a month. But here's the issue. You want to know why Antifa is allowed to organize illegal activity on the platform and get away with it? Because Twitter is scared of them. Because the big advertisers are scared of them. That's why they don't get banned, because they're the... Look, I say it all the time. Does Twitter headquarters, pre-Elon, were they ever scared that like Dave Rubin is going to lead a bunch of classic liberals with pitchforks and torches to their doorstep? No. Are they concerned a bunch of black masked lunatic psychopaths with bricks and Molotovs and guns would? Yeah, because they do. So Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, every advertiser, they are scared to death that one day they'll walk outside their building and some guy will hit him in the face with a brick. And it's not going to be a conservative. So we can ban the conservatives because they won't do anything about it anyway, but we better not cross Antifa and the extremist left. It's still happening right now.
And you're presenting a broader political dilemma, is that it's this asymmetrical political fight where the conservatives or the right wing are fighting with their hands tied behind their back, and the left wing are bringing guns to a knife fight or not even to a fight at all. And they're just playing to win. They don't care about the substance. They don't care about the style. They don't care about anything else. They're there for one thing only: power dynamics, and advancing their ideology. And they don't care about any of the niceties associated with, councils, etc.
I would not be surprised. Okay, look, it's a victory that Elon bought the platform. We cracked the Louis XIII. I know. But I'm eager to make sure this goes in the right direction. And his announcement about some diverse viewpoint council sounds just like Jack Dorsey, just like Vijaya Gadde. It sounds exactly like what they were saying. Based on that, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it's highly probable if come April, there's me sitting with Elon and Joe being like, Elon, why won't you do this? We had this Antifa person, and Elon's going to be like, we're going in and we're trying to make sure we're doing it fair, blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying it's highly probable. I'm not saying I would bet on that. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised based on wanting a diverse viewpoint committee or whatever. I'm like, that right there was just like, oh, that's more BS.
Start a crypto token, start a utility token, Elon, a Twitter token.
What if he puts Doge on Twitter?
Yeah, use Doge, and then you can pay users with Doge coins.
So here's another strange phenomenon we can talk about. Here's my social blade for my Twitter account. Look at me with 1,361,000 followers. Thank you for following me. I just tweet nonsense. I've lost 5,000 so far this month, but that's up 22%. And probably because I've been, I just tweet kind of stupid nonsense. But today, I gained 4,264 followers. What about you, Luke? You gained a bunch of followers?
I did, and a whole bunch of engagement, a whole bunch of likes that I never had before. I'm going to check right now on social.
Maybe they have started with the lower level accounts and they're working their way up, and these are some of the...
Well, he said he didn't make any changes.
Yeah, he said no changes have happened. Luke, you gained 859. I mean, you've been consistently gaining a good amount of followers this past week, but today you've gained more than double what you gained yesterday.
Yeah.
859 followers. So...
And then before that,
something changed. But hold on, and check this out. Look at this. Twitter, the Great Purge has begun. Twitter users report losing thousands of followers as Elon Musk formally takes over the platform and sets to work on bot cleaning. He says he hasn't changed. It's like the content moderation. But take a look at this. Kate Smith says, "Wow, I lost a few hundred followers overnight. Welcome to Twitter, Elon." People are saying, "I lost followers." One person with the Ukrainian flag in their profile, "I lost 50 followers." Yeah, you know what I think? Said it before. I'll say it again. Twitter was propping up fake accounts to make it look like the left was more prominent than they were because the right is more prominent. Right. And they were banning people on the right and shadow banning them to make it seem like they were less prominent. They put their thumb on the scale.
And this is so important when you talk about politicians, you talk about their staff, you talk about the decisions that happen in Washington. They see Twitter as really what's the viewpoint of the vast majority of people, their constituents, what's the public's, view on things, but it's a completely manipulated, audience pool. I mean, if it was a congressional district, it'd be like a D+70. It's not something that exists in the real world. And it's all about the perception that they're creating, the illusion they're creating. And it's not just the likes, it's not just the follows. It's even the comments. I mean, you see those memes that go around where it's all the same comment that's being shared every time a major news cycle hits. And I'm glad he's going after it. And it's also noticeable. It's these left-wing accounts claiming they're losing followers, which were bots. A few weeks ago, it was right-wing accounts claiming they lost followers who were real people.
They're saying it's people quitting the platform.
In protest.
So what? Is the 4,000 followers a bunch of conservatives joining the platform? I don't believe it because Twitter recommends leftist accounts, not right-wing accounts.
First, leftists, they'll never follow through on their threats to quit. They never move to Canada, for example. So I doubt that they actually, are quitting Twitter right now. So it's certainly bots. That was something he brought up, and that was something that came up, in the evaluation talks when they were first, in talks to buy. It was the bot issue. I mean, that's a fundamental issue.
It could be that Elon immediately went after the bots. First thing he did.
His first task, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I'll say maybe I want to see some changes faster than he can go about it. Maybe Elon is like, the bots got to go first.
And advertisers are on board with that if we want to go back to the finance, because they want real,
Clean numbers.
legitimate, clean, metrics. They don't want bots.
Or maybe just to investigate to see what was going on, to see what the algorithm really was, to see how it was being manipulated, to see who was being punished for what. I think there needs to be a long investigation
Right.
into what is essentially potentially very illegal activities with election interfering done by Twitter. So that's a very serious accusation, but only someone who just acquired a company is going to be looking into that right now as we're speaking.
And we have to give him more credit. I do agree with you. He's coming into a company where the workforce that exists is largely hostile.
It hates him.
Hates him. He needs to fire 70%. I think he could probably fire 90%. He is in a good position that he could bring over some loyal, staff and support from, Tesla, some of his engineers there, et cetera. But it is going to take a period of time, just from a logistical, technical perspective, to dig into this and actually find out what's going on behind the scenes, how it can be rectified, how it can be.
And how do you undo
No,
the
guys,
damage?
he's not going to endear himself to the employees after he just fired Ligma Johnson.
Ligma
termination-
Johnson was asking for it, though.
Who is this Ligma Johnson?
Ligma
fellow?
Johnson is on local news and a very serious person.
This is real. This is really his name.
Yes.
I think it was like it was
no.
two guys. It was like Rahul Ligma and Daniel Johnson.
Were they got fired? Is that a real
no, they
story?
were trolls. They showed up to Twitter HQ with boxes.
That is awesome.
And
I think
then
he
the
would have
media
fired
was like,
Ligma
I think they're going to get hired.
They thought they got fired automatically. Yeah.
Turns out.
Ligma
If you're looking for a
Johnson.
job, I mean, honestly, if you're a free software developer and you want to get involved, keep your eyes on Twitter because he's going to be hiring. Or it can just be a community project. We don't need to wait.
He's going to be firing.
He's going to be opening up a lot of
So much-
positions. But the thing is, I don't think Twitter needs, I don't know where they have 5,000 employees. I mean, if you're running a free software decentralized network, you need the world's community to be involved. And you don't need to pay them.
There's so much dead weight there.
Can I show you this, guys? Parag Agrawal's salary was $30.4 million in 2021. Ned Segal was $18.9 million. Vijaya was $17 million. Sean Edgett, his compensation was unclear. He was the one who had to be escorted out of the building, which is really interesting. Wow. So what is this? A former COO, Sarah Personette, was handed $11.2 million as part of Musk's house clearance. I want you to think about $30.4 million. And I'd like to ask you, what do you do with that money? What do you do with it?
I was going to say what they did for it, but
No, I mean, he's working a full-time job, which is very, he runs Twitter. I know, being the CEO, it's a high-level job of a very large company. It's just insane to me that these people couldn't get an edit button done in a year, but they were given $30 million.
well, the pay wasn't based on the merits or the financials or anything quantitative. It was based on loyalty to the regime and the regime's, doctrine and what they were trying to push through this platform and the social engineering they wanted to use the platform for. And they were, only willing participants in that. So they were paid handsomely for doing a job well done. But it's not based on any, basic profit or loss model of a traditional business. It's based on loyalty to the regime. And that's why this gentleman will be spending that $30 million somehow. I have no idea, though.
$30 million to not be able to get an edit button done in a year. That's just, it's incredible. I don't think people truly understand what $30 million means. He wouldn't be able to spend that if he tried.
Wasn't there like a dozen real engineers? I'm making the numbers up, but there was an extremely small number of real engineers, and the entire structure of the workforce was like a reverse pyramid, where it was those 12 supporting this massive, bloated, pension scheme at Twitter effectively. And it was like these few engineers that were doing all the work, and everything else was just, corporate fluff and councils and committees and, diversity leaders, whatever it is.
Yeah. I don't think the hardware was the majority of the people. There were probably people that are like, how do we handle the crowd kind of people?
Right.
Trust and safety. It's like so Orwellian.
It's all like an extension of HR. It's all just these positions that exist to perpetuate their own positions. They're not actually fundamentally doing any real work.
I will say, like you said, I don't know. Maybe there were incredible developers across the board.
There was a meme that came out that said, Musk fires half of Twitter, replaces it with one hardworking Indian engineer.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
He could do the job of 3,200 people.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. That sounds about right.
Well, it's all email pushing jobs. They send an email, they're going to circle back, and that concludes the day. All right, guys.
The thing about the compensation that really gets me is that I would be willing to bet a substantial sum myself that you, the average viewer, could do his job. Not kidding. what knowledge does he have where he was like, it was mismanaged. It was managed so poorly, the company was struggling. It was basically failing. This is just, there is an elite class in this planet. It's always been the case. They do nothing. They get everything.
But they think it's on merit.
In 2018, there were roughly 4,000 Twitter employees. 3 years later, 2021, or 4 years later, I guess, there were 75. So it went from 4,000 to 7,500.
Now,
almost doubled the amount of
now
employees.
map the user growth, which I think if you factor out bots, I don't know what it is, but it's probably stagnant, if not, a downward trend. But at least if you factor out bots, which may not be possible.
All right, let's find out.
Yeah, people are pointing out that Kanye's Twitter account is back. And Elon pointed out that's an automatic thing. That has nothing to do with him,
Oh, it was like one of those 7-day things or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And so his account just turned back on or whatever.
Well, he should just take credit.
I just, it really is shocking. And it's unfortunate. I would be willing to bet, additionally, that if I took that $30 million in 1 year, 30, and gave it to a random viewer of this show, they would build something more substantial, more historical, and better than anything he did. That's just, I really can't stand Silicon Valley and that machine, crony capitalist BS. I despise it so much.
It's an incentive structure for loyalty. You keep these guys operating against their own company's best interests because they know the payout will be greater than whatever else they could get through normal channels.
And I guess he got $60 million to get fired.
Parag, what's his
Yeah.
name? Parag?
Yeah.
He got 60 million?
I think. Someone want to fact check it real quick?
Well, in a way,
I think his golden parachute was 60 million.
I was wondering what Elon would do. I'm glad that he gave them payouts. I mean, I don't think you can ethically just say like goodbye. Now everything that you were earning is set to zero. But that's a lot of money, my man.
Ethically,
$60 million bucks.
Let's see. I got this. The total value they say in Guardian was $120 million in golden parachutes. Do they break it down? Here we go. What is it? No, okay, 8.4 to Agarwal doesn't sound right.
This all goes back to the Fed. It's all malinvestment.
$34.8 million to Vijaya Gadde. Why would she get more than the CEO? That seems strange. Whatever. There you go.
She's been there longer.
She's a woman.
Well, she's been there longer, so
Yeah, I
maybe
think
that's
that's
it.
it.
But it's just so crazy, man.
I'm looking at the user growth. The numbers from 2018, they had 335 million monthly active users, but then 2 years later, they had 330. So, I mean, actually down 5 million.
So the staff went up and the users went down.
That's
It's a great setup.
Yeah.
The staff went from almost went from 4,000 to 5,500, while the daily user
It
rate
pays
didn't
to be the
change.
thought police,
True.
When you're censoring speech, when you're going after people for political ideas and expression and act like you're fighting the Germans during the 1930s, you got to be paid a lot of money to play pretend for that long, for that that big of a circumstance. So
For that crazy of an act.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you got to pay for private security if you're in Silicon Valley. A lot of crazy people out there running around with hammers. And deranged individuals and people throwing poop at you and people,
Syringes.
people giving themselves the vaccine in the streets all the time.
Yeah.
So
I want to see Rumble's headquarters, because I'm thinking about Twitter's HQ was
I saw
very lavish. Did you go
visited
tour it at
Rumble.
all?
Yeah, I got a tour of the
Was it
headquarters
like-
down.
Is it a
in Florida.
small, like, bachelor-style apartment? There's no bathroom?
It's surreal because it looks like a cartel house, like right on the water. It's like it's huge. It's
Chris
a beautiful
Pavlovsky
place.
greeted you with, like, a scotch and a cigar, and he was
I was
like,
like, "Where's the
"Lucas."
Lamborghini?" I'm like, "This looks like a scene out of Scarface." It really does. And I'm like, where's the rifle?
I feel like that's better than a modernist, soulless building in Silicon Valley with their cafeteria and all their little perks and their yoga
and it's not
room.
that big.
That's what I'm wondering. How many floors?
2 floors.
Oh, see, that's modest. We didn't have a huge. I mean, that is a massive amount of overhead.
Not that many rooms either.
You just don't need it. Not with social media, man. You don't need big
Yeah.
buildings. It's all about servers and server placement, which ideally we'll have that stuff in orbit, because if we do take some sort of asteroid contact, we're going to need to preserve our data and our knowledge. and our
Yeah,
ability to
shouts
communicate
out
on the
to-
world.
but Ian, the problem is, how do you dissipate the heat in outer space on big data centers? You can't
You
do
could
it.
hit it with laser cooling.
Laser cooling?
Like if you hit something with a laser, it should move heat that way.
Moved heat where?
Off along with the laser. Like the laser will carry the heat
You
with
mean
it.
I see what you're saying. So the laser goes through it and then actually transfers the energy out.
Correct.
If we could do direct thermal conversion into light and then beam it away, that would work. That'd be
Where your
crazy.
head's at. I'm glad you're my friend.
That's a cool idea.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, for right now, yeah, actually, that's interesting. But the servers are going to generate heat. We can try and recapture heat, but it's got to go somewhere because the ambient heat we can't control perfectly. The efficiency wouldn't be there.
Yeah,
We should just write things on stone. Just go back. That'll
The
work.
servers operate by a guy reading the code and typing in the ones and zeros manually.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
In 27 years, you'll get this tweet out.
Chris Pavlovsky, CEO of Rumble, and Elon have been, I don't know if the two of them directly have been in talks, but Chris reached out to him on Twitter about a month ago and was like, hey, you want to get involved? Because I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
And Elon was like, all right. And then now I hear they're working on because Chris is a server guy, Elon's a satellite guy. Satellite
Twitter
servers.
needs a video component. Twitter needs something that could either be a TikTok or another Periscope or another Vine. They need that. They don't have that.
What if Elon does succeed with X and Twitter becomes a place where you've got a wallet, uses crypto, you can post videos, you can write stories, you can make tweets. Like it really becomes what Mark Zuckerberg was hoping Facebook would become.
the American WeChat? And then I'm going to be critical of it and skeptical of it because of how powerful and all-encompassing it will be.
But
as of right now, I'm optimistic when I see Bill Gates and other establishment figures attacking him. But when it becomes too mainstream, that's when I'm going to have questions.
Well, no one thought that MySpace was going to fail or even Snapchat, and now it looks like Facebook, the platform itself, is pretty much going nowhere. So who knows? We'll get a revitalization story out of Twitter.
If I was a billionaire, I would do what I would call the Parag Agrawal challenge. And I would give $30 million to a random person for an investment project. Obviously, there's rules. You don't just get the money. It would be an investment, not income. It would be we create a company. We put $30 million in it. Go, and then we would see at the end of 1 year what we have. I think it would be hilarious because you could take your average contractor, and they'd be like, "Oh, I built a bunch of houses." I'm like, "Wow, houses! Oh, that's really amazing." Parag, what did you do in 1 year? Well, I was running Twitter and we could get an edit button done. It's like, I'm sure he was doing something, you know what I mean? But based on that Project Veritas video where the guy is like, I work 4 hours a week or something like that,
Right.
I really doubt any of them are doing anything.
No.
Yeah, you want people that are committed to 40 plus hours a week at least, because it's about organization at that level. If you have 30 million, I could pay you 30 million, but if you're only working 8 hours a week and there's no other employees, then
Well, you've seen those viral TikTok videos
Right,
with the
that's-
girl walking
yeah.
around like, here's my day in the office. I got
I have
lunch, yoga. It's really stressful.
Red wine on tap.
Right.
So here's the secret. Investors ask people. They say, ask you a question. If tomorrow you woke up and you had $1 million in the bank account, cash, clean, ready to, it was legitimate deposit, what would you do? What would you do, Gavin?
I would just buy property.
You'd buy property?
Yeah,
No,
rentals.
it's not a terrible answer. Yeah.
They're not making any more land.
What about you, Ian? What would you do?
I think I would buy a house at this moment.
Yeah.
But it depends. For my
At this,
property.
at this interest rate? Are you crazy?
Although I hear the housing
Cash,
market's about to
Luke,
dip.
Cash. It's like cash purchase. What would you do if you woke up and you had $1 million just in cash in your bank?
Buy a whole bunch of employees and expand operations?
Buy
And that's-
employees
and-
like slaves?
No,
No, but
That's
hire-
thinking outside
Oh,
the
you would
box.
expand
That's
VR
not,
change.
no. That's not outside the box.
Yeah.
Your guys' answer would never get you an investment.
Oh yeah, I'm not looking for investment
you
money
want
at
it?
the moment.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
It doesn't matter if you think you're getting investment or not. The question,
I mean, I could pay 4 people $100,000.
okay, but here's what people are looking for. They're looking for someone who naturally wants to expand operations, not someone who needs to be told to do it. So if you said, I'd buy a house, they go, that's really cool. Nice meeting you. And if they went to a homeless guy and he goes like, I'd love to start a company. Now we're going to make birdhouses and I'm going to hire 100 people and have the biggest birdhouse. I'd be like, you're hired. Here, we'll give you the money.
They give you $72,000
The
a month
problem-
for server space on AWS, while I'm paying $60,000 for 9 employees, 3 of which will be working for the 6 others. 2 people will be that kind of thing.
but
And
you
they're
need
like,
to-
oh God, yes, plug it in.
But you need to understand this, that most people will be like, oh, well, I didn't know you meant if I was going to do a business. I don't. I mean, what's your first priority? And you guys clearly said property. Not a bad answer because property is an investment. Most people will say like, I'd go to Hawaii. I'd take my family out. Those people will never see a dime from an investor. But so even with what we're doing here at Timcast, the biggest challenge is personnel, is finding people who want to work on something, not people who want a job. People who want a job tend to just, quiet quit, do the bare minimum. So when you're trying to invest in someone and give them a substantial amount of money, you want to go to someone and say, if you had $1 million, what would you do? It's like, oh man, You know, I've always wanted to launch my own comic book distribution network, and if I just had the capital, we'd get it going. But I've already got the books. I just need to figure out how to get it to these. You're hired. Here's the money. Have fun. Good luck.
What do you find is the bulk of cost when you're running operations?
Labor. Always
Just
labor.
but
Humans cost
more
money.
Specifically, in-house labor, out-of-house labor.
It's all the same. Labor's labor. People are the most expensive thing.
By far.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you end up spending 20%, 15% of the cost on like outsourced labor, like legal stuff like that, marketing, things like that?
What do you mean?
I just
mean,
wonder, just in general, like if you spend it mostly on in-house employees, or if you
Of course.
most of it's in in-house.
I mean,
employees.
we have a lot of contractors, and then we have legal, and then we have construction, and then we have external marketing and PR. There's a lot of stuff that we don't do in-house because it doesn't make sense to do. And most of the cost is like an employee working for the company.
You prefer to do that?
I mean,
in-house?
It's not so much prefer as just like, it's more like if there's a wavy field, you know, let's say this table was wavy and you poured water on it, the water would pool in the lowest point. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm saying we should do contract labor or something. It's like, that's how it's done. I'm not going to hire a lawyer to work for this company. You know what I mean? I'm going to contract a law firm who can handle it.
Specialization.
Yeah. Like the people we need to hire, the people who need to be here all the time, specifically like a video producer, an audio engineer. But like Vice had in-house counsel. You know, they had a room with like 2 or 3 lawyers in it. They were really, really big. Maybe we'll get to that point, you know. But, yeah. Anyway, my point ultimately about the cash stuff is I look at a lot of the people in Silicon Valley and a lot of people at these companies, and they should not be getting paid what they're getting paid because they don't care about the product. They don't care about the growth. They don't care about the mission. They don't believe in merit. They believe in like, I deserve to be here, and then they do nothing, and then it just burns to the ground.
It's a broader problem in corporate America where you see these compensation packages are so out of whack with what they actually deliver. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they make excuses and they talk about the scale of things, et cetera. But at the end of the day, you know, it still is very much out of whack when you look at what you mentioned before, the growth in terms of staff and employees and the decrease in actual users. I mean, there's
I'll tell you.
It's like a 45% increase in staff with no nominal growth.
With a negative.
Here's a secret. If you want to be rich, go hang out with rich people. That's it. Goodbye. I'll tell you why. In like the Palisades, in Brentwood, in California, and LA, you know these places. You've been there.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
These are the places where if you were just friends with one of these wealthy Hollywood elites, you can be like, you know, I sell this fancy lotion. It's $100 a bottle. They'll say, "Ooh, I'd love some," and then it's Jergens in a little bottle. And this is the way it works. I've known people who are like, oh, I make jewelry. And I'm like, how much do you make per year? It's only a couple $100,000 per year. And I'm like, for making jewelry? Yeah. But I have a very select clientele of Hollywood elite. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay,
Hamptons
because
too.
you know Hamptons too, because you're friends with rich people and they want to buy from you, they just have money and give it to you. You're rich. There you go.
There's a whole socialite class,
Absolutely.
you know, between the Hamptons and Hollywood, whatever, that feed off of that. Usually, you know, they fall into like the wine mom, you know, category of in terms of demographics.
It's
You
unfortunate
can-
when people turn to alcohol when they get bored. With so
You
much
can
money,
sell-
they beat the game and they just start getting drunk every night.
The only difference, on average, in my opinion, maybe not necessarily, but there's a fine line between someone with a carpet, a sheet thrown on the ground, with a bunch of jewelry strewn about it, and they're sitting there smiling at you saying $1 necklaces, and some, you know, yoga wine aunt who is making $300,000 a year selling necklaces to select clientele in the Palisades. Mm-hmm. It's just who you know.
A $4,000 haircut because you're worth it.
Exactly.
And then they're able to write that off on their taxes.
This
And
is
then-
all
and
the
they-
Fed. This
I don't
is
think
all the
you could
Fed.
write off haircuts on your taxes.
Thank God.
Depending on your industry.
Yeah, entertainment. For
So
sure, I
like
would
Hollywood can. And this is the craziest thing. If you're an actor in Hollywood, all that cosmetic stuff is a business expense. And I mean, to be honest, it kind of is.
It's legitimate.
You know? Yeah, you need to look a certain way and whatever.
Your image.
But I have hung out with people who have told me their jobs are just like, oh, you know, I sell this, that, or otherwise. And I'm like, and you make that much, you make $500,000 selling.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, well, of course. I get 20% commission on all the products. And my clients are all very wealthy. And I'm like...
It's like a royal court for like these
Yep.
new aristocrats.
Literally.
You got the
Capital
jester, you got a
city.
few people. Exactly.
Luke, you mentioned that you would expand operations. Are you talking about for We Are Change?
Yeah, and then just looking at solutions, I think providing food that's not poison is a good big industry that I think has a lot of potential to also get into, that I would want to get into, that I'm kind of looking into getting into. and helping people as much as they can.
So like selling like health food?
Maybe not even just health food, maybe just normal, regular food,
Yeah,
Without
really.
seed oil.
without high fructose corn syrup,
Right.
seed oils, and all the, forever chemicals and microplastics and,
But
and other things that just destroy humanity.
But it
and
has
the
a
human
green
spirit.
label on it and it says it's healthy. What are you trying to tell me?
No, you're wrong. You've
I
been
got an idea.
propagandized.
Let's put little styrofoam cubes in a plastic wrap and then put the ingredients list, on it, and then people wouldn't know the difference anyway. You know what I mean? Like
You'd see a guy eating it. Some
Yeah.
fat guy.
Put
probably.
it's
some
like
yellow five in there.
it's like Rice Krispies. Yeah, it's petrochemical.
Didn't they do an experiment where they made a Rice Krispie with like sawdust? Like just a small amount of sawdust and wanted to see if people could tell, and they couldn't. It's basically equivalent what they do to most of
Have
our
you
food.
looked at Parmesan cheese from the supermarket?
Oh, yeah.
One of the ingredients is cellulose.
Yeah.
It might as well be cardboard.
Right. Yeah.
It's indigestible plant matter.
Well, yeah, and they talk about we have a society where you're constantly having to work out just to be the bare minimum in terms of healthy. You go to Europe, you look back in time, the caloric intake hasn't gone up. It's the quality of the food we're putting in is trash, and then we wonder why we're never been more unhealthy.
So here, we talked about this the other day. I went on, we had Seth Weathers on. He said, I need to eat more protein. I said, I ate like 100 grams in one day. So you need 150. And I was like, do I? And then I checked like a government website and it said 70 grams, but it said I should be eating 400 to 500 carbs. And then I was just thinking to myself, I couldn't eat that many carbs if I tried.
Well, they also said
That's
eggs were
crazy.
bad. They said butter was bad. They
Meat
said
was
everything.
bad.
Meat
Yeah.
was bad. It's like it's all nonsense.
Whatever
I
the
just-
government says, don't
Do
really
the
follow.
opposite.
Yo.
Do what tradition tells you. And tradition says eat a lot of meat, eggs, butter.
Let me tell you, those outright bars we have?
Yeah.
Those have 24 grams of carbs in it. So I have to eat 20 of them to get the 500 carbs I could barely eat one of those protein. Granted, there's protein in them, but if I ate 20 of them, that's too much protein.
my
I guess. 20 of them.
Insane.
They want
get-
you fat, childless, and on a really manipulated Twitter. That's their vision. Yeah.
Yep. And so I've been eating. So I probably do need more protein, to be honest, because I skate a lot, exercise a lot. But it's just insane that that's what people are told to eat. The whole system just seems completely broken to me.
And we waste so much time talking about health and exercise instead of putting into other productive things. It's like we're so focused on the bare minimum, not being, an obese, morbidly obese person. These are things 100 years ago you didn't really have to deal with. And I'm not saying they had to go out and hunter-gather and, hunt their food. We had a balance, as recently as the 1970s. You could look at the charts. It backs it up. But we just have so much time and energy wasted now into health food and just returning to a normalcy. Like you said, it's not even health food. It's just
Normal food. Normal food that my grandma used to eat that we don't get to eat right now because of a number of different factors. Monocropping is another horrible element. But more importantly, you don't even need to look at the science or the data. Look at the photos. Look at the people a couple decades ago. Look at the people now. It's terrifying. Whenever you go to like a beach or a public park or a theme park, you look around, and if you start paying attention, you're like, holy freaking cow, there is biological warfare being committed on everyone.
mostly
You
in
see-
this
you-
country, though.
Yeah.
Because you go to other countries, it's not nearly as bad.
You see that photo from the 50s where everyone's just fit looking? Yeah. So weird.
Yeah.
They
I
didn't
think
go to
we're-
gyms. They didn't count
Now-
their calories.
Now Disney is doing that fat chick film
Right.
where it's like you can be morbidly obese, but it's okay.
It's it feels like we're dancing around a renaissance, but if not for the overweight, the obesity crisis.
Well, it's all these distractions because we have to relearn all these basic things we used to know and be able to do innately, just be healthy. Now it's like this is an active thing we have to do to be healthy.
They call it organic food. Organic means carbon-based. All food is organic.
Right.
But they created a special word for what food is supposed to be. That's
so weird.
I love it. It's like organic food means like food.
Right.
So we should actually we should change this. Chemical food and food.
Right.
So it's
True.
like I got milk. Is it chemical milk or is it milk?
Altered.
It's chemical milk.
Well, language is
altered.
that's all
Altered-
language. It's
altered
language
milk.
warfare. I mean, even look at schools. It's like public school. It's a state school. That's what it is.
Organic. I like that you point out that organic
School?
means like carbon based. So
not
think
even
about
school. It's not
think
even
about what
school.
they're saying though. When it's not organic, they're basically saying it's like a petrochemical or something.
Yeah, literally.
Like it's not.
Well, that's what
really
we cook
food.
with. We cook with oils that used to be used for mechanical and
Yep.
industrial purposes. They just slightly twisted them up. There was a whole incident that happened, I think, in Spain, Madrid, in the 80s or 70s, where they all got some toxic oil syndrome because the food that they were cooking with was like this canola oil that was basically meant for like industrial
Engine
You know what
oils.
gutter oil is?
Oh, in China? Yeah, where they scoop it. Ugh.
out of the sewers, and then they filter it out, boil it, and cook with it, and then you eat it on the street.
That's pretty much what most of our food is.
That's
being
everything
made
you
with
have in a
anyway
restaurant
now.
anyway in the deep fryer.
That's exactly. They don't change that deep fryer every time they cook something, and it's not schools. It's indoctrination centers.
Thank you.
All
You're
right, we're going to go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button? Subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member at timcast.com. All right, we're going to read some of these Super Chats. Jeremiah Dobler says, the Paul Pelosi incident is yet another example of Democrats not knowing what they let out of the bag, catering to their progressive wing. Look, the guy was a Green Party dude, but he also was he posted Q stuff. He was a conspiracy guy. He had a pride flag. It is what it is.
Yeah, you let a summer of violence happen. That's going to affect everyone in the world.
Yep. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Tim Pool says, I don't know why anyone follows me on Twitter as he melts the fragile adult baby minds of cult leftists screeching about a red verify badge. Bro, this is going to be fun, and we are here for it. Yeah, I tweeted that Elon should make a new verification badge, except it shows that you're a fascist and it's red. Then I tweeted again when he bought it. The same exact thing, but I said, except it shows that you're a communist and it's red and you can't remove it by choice. And they're like losing their minds. They're like, he wants to badge us when we do the fascists.
They should review a lot of the verification, the people that are verified and the whole verification process, because that's another, blatant tool for manipulation.
Yeah, a verification originally was anyone could apply for it.
Right.
And it was just you submit your ID and they say, okay, you are, you say you are, you're good.
Right.
And then they decided to make it an endorsement.
Right.
And it was funny because they were like, we don't see it as an endorsement. And then they literally, they took James O'Keefe's away.
Right.
It's like, what? Right. They wouldn't give one to Julian Assange.
It's violating 230. I mean, they're editorializing. I mean, it's another example of it.
They're allowed to editorialize under 230. They're not violating it.
Oh, true. But they wouldn't. But then don't they lose protections?
Nope.
No.
That's what conservatives want it to.
Right.
be.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they want it to
Apologies.
But
be
that's funny. You're like, Section 230 basically says they can do whatever they want without liability.
Right.
It's insane. Yeah. So repealing it's bad. It should just say, if you engage in moderation of any kind, you lose immunity. You take an editorial stance.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's read some more. St. Miles says, anyone else notice the U.S. Capitol Police were on the scene? That's right, they were. Yep. Not Danny McBride says, Ian, will you be my dad?
Sure. I mean, metaphorically, yeah, man.
Metaphorically.
Let's do it together. Pay it forward, and then you be someone else's dad.
Okay, Gonfall says, you guys should play audio clip donations, but only members can, and those audio clips have to be reviewed before being shown on live. We've thought about a lot of things like that, but it's like a different show. It'd be like a call-in show almost. So we're making plans for expanding and doing something like that, which would be fun. I think call-in show would be really fun to do. But we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do like Fridays.
Yeah, fun Friday show.
Yeah, we'll have like from 9 to 9:30. We'll do like pre-screened call-ins.
That'd be cool.
Like recorded messages, and then we'll play them, and then we'll respond to them. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's a good idea. Just because you can't really do a live. You get someone on the air, and then they're like, "I'm a businessman." Then you press play, and then you start saying a bunch of crazy things.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Where are we at? Oh man, Doc Holliday says for once someone else was hammered in the Pelosi's house. Ooh, too soon.
Too soon.
That is clever, though.
Yeah.
It is clever. But hey, man, this guy got seriously hurt. That's horrifying. That scares me.
Much healing love, Paul.
Yeah, man, not okay. For you don't got to like somebody to be like, I hope the dude is okay.
So I feel about John Fetterman, man. I almost started crying the other night. I just want to be.
Oh,
okay
bro,
right now.
when I was watching that debate, it was hurting watching that man.
Yeah.
It's so sad, and now it's here we go. The left is saying Fetterman's up, the right's saying Oz is up, and I'm like, whatever, dude. Don't vote for the guy who can't talk. Oz is bad for. I don't like him. He's not that bad. It's kind of cringe.
We could have done better.
But just Fetterman is just it's not there, man.
Unfit, man.
Got to rest.
Yeah, dude, it's sad.
Recover.
Hudson Beaudry says, longtime listener, first live stream and super chatter. Listen to Timcast on Spotify every day at work. Huge question. When is Raymond G. Stanley Jr. coming on the show? Good question. He certainly bought and paid his way here already several times around. We'll have to, maybe some people suggested we do like a fan episode and we bring on a handful of people and that are like the core fans that are super chatting all the time and stuff. I think it's a good idea. We'll figure something out. We're also big fans of Raymond G. Stanley Jr. because he super chats all the time. And he has good super chats and we like reading them.
Yep.
Oh man, some of these, there's a lot of A lot of these jokes
A
about
lot of
getting hammered. Jeffrey Grajic says the hammer was Paul Pelosi's hammer. The guy took away from Pelosi. Yes, right. I think that's what I heard.
Interesting.
Wow.
He grabbed the hammer and the guy got it from him and started hitting him with it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Pinochet's helicopter tour saying Speaker's house unguarded is pretty sus. Just saying. I don't disagree. Come on, all right. Amos Moses says, when are you having your fellow Shiraki on? You know Mr. West, Mr. Fresh, by himself. He's so impressed. Did you even see the test? You got D's MF Rosie Perez. Good morning. I have no idea what that means.
It's
but
a line from his tracks.
from what?
From one of his tracks. I forget which one now.
Whose tracks?
Yay.
Kanye West.
Oh, Kanye.
Yeah.
Should
Oh,
we
hey.
have Kanye on? That's the question. I think
Kanye.
yes.
Yes. I just don't have any contact for Kanye West. Kanye, I'd love to talk to you about stuff. That'd be fantastic. Would love to have him on the show. But I've reached out to a couple people. No response. It's like how do you get in touch with Kanye West?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Kanye call me? I have no idea. I've tweeted at Elon Musk several times. He responds to some people. It'd be great to have Elon
What's
on
the
the show.
email if Kanye would want to reach out to you?
What's a
Booking?
good email?
Is it like a booking email?
No, I don't know, man. That's probably why. Have
reach
your
us if he
people
wants.
call my people or whatever.
Yeah. He'd reach out to us if he wants. He knows how to do it. So.
I think it'd be awesome to have Elon on.
Yeah.
I mean, Kanye. Elon too.
Both.
Yeah, right now.
But for right now, Kanye is the guy to talk to, and I'm not, I'm not super interested in actually talking to him about his tweets or whatever, because I'm like, okay, we get it. Like it's been talked about a lot. I'd actually be interested in talking to him about business.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that he's a billionaire, but they never call him a billionaire; they call him a rapper. Now he's saying he lost $2 billion overnight. I'm interested to hear about his business, like, and I'm sure a lot of people want to hear that stuff too. But the politics of a lot of it would be interesting to talk about.
I like what he's doing with schools.
Yeah.
Kind of reinventing the education system.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, let's grab some more super. A lot of hammer jokes. Lot of hammer jokes. That's right. They drink a lot.
Yeah. True.
They certainly do. All right. Terry Boyd says, OMG, I am a 62-year-old nudist, longtime avid follower and listener of Timcast and a conservative. Please do not associate nudists with lunatics.
How's
Fair
that work
point,
being
fair
a
point.
nudist? How often are you nude? I got to know.
I'd imagine all the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like, don't you want to be warm?
That's what I'm saying.
Like Ian's wearing a coat and a
Yeah. And
Scarf.
I feel great.
yeah.
It doesn't seem like a sustainable lifestyle.
And what if like you're going out and you're worried about, I don't know, brigands and bandits slashing you, so you have to wear thick leathers as you carry your wares from town to town?
Brambles and the like.
How do they go on
Brambles.
dates? How do they do dates? It's a lot of questions.
Yeah. James Dorpinghaus says, Jordan Peterson said the Earth's population would peak at 9 billion people and decline from there. Also, free speech is back on Twitter. Love y'all. Well, it's actually not. It's funny because Elon was like, comedy is allowed again, but then he said, but I didn't change any rules. It's like, okay, so it's not. But 9 billion?
I wonder where he got
it's
that
already
number.
declining.
I wonder where
Is he saying that's the cap?
The scientific models were saying that it's going to be going up from 7 billion to 9 billion and then naturally going down. But
Why?
now with such, I forgot the explanation to it, but that's what all the graphs were predicting. But now with a depopulation agenda, I think that number is not going to be reached.
9 million is not. But
9 billion.
9
Yeah.
billion, sorry. I've seen those, and my thought process is, regardless of that basically means people don't have kids.
Yeah.
So it's like at a certain point people don't have kids. Why? And then what happens if people aren't having kids? Just some people are having kids? I don't know. It sounds weird.
And
to
who
me.
gets to choose?
And it's gonna and you need to consider it's not just like everyone stops having kids. It's for cultural reasons. The loss of children will be centered in certain areas. So it may actually be that in urban centers population collapses, but in rural areas they're more likely to grow, which makes sense considering everything we've seen already. And if those models are correct, the population expansion would primarily be in Africa, where population growth is still substantially higher than in other parts of the world.
And that's the history of human civilization. The cities collapse first, then the hill people and the country people come in and rebuild it from the ashes.
They're saying the Pew Research Center is saying mainly because people are going to be having less children.
Yeah.
And this is according to their research.
But they never say, is it because they want to have less children or they can't have more children for financial, economic, or other reasons?
Yeah.
Simulation 115 says, Tim, if you do 3 p.m. solo live streams on Fridays, why don't you invite a single guest through video call to discuss the topic? Also, guest idea, Shad Brooks. He is an Aussie creator that is building a Star Wars alternative. Doing guests is difficult. And even if I did a live stream today instead of my normal recorded segment. And it was because the news was rapidly changing. It was initially reported Twitter employees were fired. Then I started recording. And then like a few minutes in, breaking news, we were hoaxed. It's a fake story. And so I was like, I'll just start a live stream. But the segment's supposed to be just discussing, monologuing through the news. Doing a guest thing would be very similar to this, and it would be hard to coordinate. And so I don't know. But I might actually do Fridays on youtube.com/Timcast, 3 p.m. live for like 30 to 40 minutes. Because it's a lot easier. And honestly, it's like easier work.
Were you doing super chats?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Was it fun talking to the crowd and everything?
Yeah, but I only did a few super chats because the goal is to like talk about everything for a half an hour and then be done for the podcast on iTunes and Spotify for the Tim Pool Daily Show. So that's about 2 podcasts. There's Timcast IRL Conversations and Tim Pool Daily Show Monologuing.
I found that one of the things about social media and working with a live audience is that if you allow yourself to get derailed by the audience and start responding with the audience, the whole show just becomes about that instead of the message that you're intending to, which is why they're there in the first place, is for your message.
That's why I hold super chats till the end, so that we can do our thing. And then on Friday, I've done 2 of them now with the Roe v. Wade being overturned, and then the Elon Musk stuff was just rapidly changing. So I might do Friday live streams just because Friday's a weak news day as it is. People want to go out and do stuff. They want to work. Or they don't want to be at work. They don't want to be listening to the politics. They want to go out and party. Like Friday nights is what happens. Yeah. Okay, where are we at? A lot of people saying drunk. Okay, drunk. Jerry Murphy says, I'm an amateur stand-up comic and was wondering if you are looking to hire anyone that may help write comedy skits or possibly write humorous news articles. Yes, but it's a bottleneck. Hiring is a bottleneck. It's very difficult to do.
You got to get stuff online, get your comedy out there so that it can be seen by people that work with Tim or that know Tim. And then they'll be like, Tim, look at this. And then if he likes it, he'll be like, get that person out here.
Yeah, Carter made a video, Carter Banks, who does all our music. He made a video being like, hey, I make music, hire me. And then like 6 months later, we were like, hey, look at this. And then I emailed him like, you want a job? And he was like, oh, wow, that was a long time ago. And then we hired him. And he's fantastic. He's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, hey, just let me do this. And I'm like, I don't know if you can or will. I don't even know who you are. I don't have time to look into you. But if you want to work with me or Tim or anyone else, show me what you got. Show me what you can do. Do it by yourself. And then, naturally, we'll find it.
But it's still not easy because it's like, right now, we're looking for Cast Castle stuff because we want to get Cast Castle rolling. We want to carve out the edges. What's the word? What phrase I'm trying to think of?
I like it all.
We want to make the show better. There you go.
Round it out.
Yeah,
rounding out the show. Yes.
Rounding out the show.
I'm looking for like graphic artists and like video meme makers, and I contact people. I'm like, hey, are you available for hire? A lot of them are like, no. So
all right. Bobcat says, we've already seen leaked, faked videos used in court. Remember the Rittenhouse trial and the AI rendering or the editing software? That's right. Mm-hmm. That was crazy. They were like, we use an algorithm to enhance the video. It's true. It's like, wow, dude, it's not. TJ Rainman says, Fetterman had a rally the day after the debate. He yelled, Oz supported pardons for January 6th. Officers died that day. An outright lie. Infuriating. That's right. And they know they're lying because who cares? They want power. Mm-hmm. What do? They just lie. Charlie says Rittenhouse was almost convicted with a deep fake drone video because the prosecutor compressed a video that backed up Kyle's story. Yeah. And we saw his folder showing he had the software and stuff. It was crazy. Crazy corruption, man. Jeez, dude. I don't know. It
should have been disbarred.
They never investigated him over that stuff. They should have. Yeah. Got him on the stand and asked him, like, we're using this editing software. Why did you have it? It's a crazy story, dude. Twisted Ninja says, remember in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial when the DA Binger deliberately tried showing evidence on an iPad because the Zoom showed what he wanted and got an expert to say interpolation doesn't change the video. They are evil. Yup. And it does. It has to fill in the gaps when you zoom in so a computer algorithm generates what they think is there. Mm-hmm. You can't add pixels. All right. Henry Back to Play says, instead of ads, I would pay $3 to $5 a month for a blue check. I mean, you get extra features when you're verified.
The edit, for instance. Oh,
That's
that's
Twitter
verified.
Blue.
That's for Blue, yeah.
Yeah, verification allows you to like look at other verified posts specifically or something. I don't know.
It's very low-level features, too.
Look, I know. It's really. Are you verified?
No.
It's really easy to get verified, guys. All you got to do is get hired by a major international corporation that has connections with Twitter's HQ, who will make a phone call to the people they know there and tell them to verify you, and then you will be. That's how I got verified.
Oh, that sounds easy, though.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Before I worked at Vice, there were people asking Twitter, like, why wasn't I verified? Like, activists were saying, hey, Tim Pool is in these magazines, he's in these shows, he's featured in these news articles, everyone's highlighting his work every time he covers big stories. Why isn't he being verified? And Twitter never responded. The point the activists were making is that I was not a corporate individual. I was independent, but I was at like trials and protests, and the media was all using my footage. That's cause for verification so that people know, hey, this is a guy that people know is a journalist who produces his content and is being featured widely. We should let people know that this is, who he says he is. I got hired by Vice and they went, oh, well, yeah, here, give me a second. Got on the phone and then they were like, oh, you're good.
Yeah,
Verified.
That is how it works.
crazy.
That's right.
It's not about what you know, it's who you know. That's what they would
Always.
say in the entertainment industry.
It's just
true.
It's
Quite a
always
bit.
It's true.
Saccharin says, unban everyone on Twitter and release a statement that all have been given a second chance. Start fresh. Fresh. Yeah. Maybe. Rusty Shackelford says, y'all should have the United Utah Party candidate Jay McFarland on the show. Could be pretty wild with him being a Liz Cheney apologist and all. Oof. She's a Democrat, though. Alexandra Rose says, hey, Tim, will the rooster image be available as merch? Maybe a shirt, sticker, or flag? It is. Go to timcast.com, click store, and you will see Stand Your Ground Rooster, Roberto Jr. There's posters, there's shirts, there's little flags, and we're going to sell them. And we're going to fly the flag, and I like it. Because roosters are great, and it's my rooster, Roberto Jr., who I raised here at the Cat's Castle. Unlike Roberto, who was purchased from a farm. Now, we love Roberto, okay, but he's off at Cocktown, okay? He's in charge over there. And his son, Roberto Jr., we actually hatched along with Maggie and Bernie. And then they jumped around the room, and they were all small, pooping everywhere. It was hilarious. And now he's a big man protecting a big flock. So proud of him.
It's funny how we thought Roberto was a lady. We got a bunch of hens. It turned out one of them was a man, and then from there came the rest.
That's right. And then we got my brother went and bought 4 Jersey Giants. One of them turned out to be a boy. Because they try to cull them, but they don't always get it right. So now we have a Jersey Giant rooster, which is going to be nuts because they're huge. Very big. Yeah, but the biggest rooster I think ever was a Brahma. Like our good friend Sarah Avenberg, who is one of the chickens. And he was like 3.5 feet tall. Looks like a raptor. It's crazy. He's a massive thing with these huge legs. Did you look it up?
The biggest Brahma rooster, yeah. King of all poultry, the giant Brahma.
Yeah, but hey, man, I'll say it again. The noble rooster. If there is a predator coming towards the flock, the rooster will make a sound, the hens will run, and he'll charge full speed at the predator, knowing he will die. But if it means the girls get to run away and survive, he will do it.
Isn't one of the French national symbols a rooster?
Yes.
It is.
And maybe that's someone super chat. I don't know where it is. It said that the national bird was almost the rooster.
And the turkey. Ben Franklin wanted the turkey, but they were all like, no, we're not that humble, Ben. Let's do something more noble.
I don't like turkeys. They're weird looking and they make stupid sounds.
Yeah, but when you look in their eyes.
No. Chickens are funny.
It's like looking into your grandmother's
Turkeys
eyes.
freak me out. They're like aliens with a weird thing on their face, and they're like, I'm
I
like,
think it's because they could eviscerate you, but they don't.
Great plumage,
That's why-
though. They have great plumage.
True.
And I don't know if a lot of people haven't seen wild turkeys. They don't look like the cartoon turkeys.
No, not at all.
Like, so you'll see the turkeys outside, and then they puff up and spread their butt feathers or whatever, and then look like that picture. But then sometimes they compress.
Right.
And it's like, oh, look at that. Yeah, the ladies look compressed, and they can fly too.
Yeah.
Yeah, turkeys fly.
That's awesome.
We were driving down the road near Antietam, and a flock of turkeys launched in the air and flew away. A flock of turkeys.
Oh, epic.
They can't fly too far, but they can fly. Yeah, they flew up and then flew into a tree somewhere. Ryan Ball says, if the only thing Elon does is change Twitter's color from blue to pink, I'd be happy. Watching the left lose their minds over something so meaningless would be priceless. Agreed. I agree. Justine Jardine says, I want to be there when Trump's Twitter account is reactivated and unbeknownst to him, his phone makes a Twitter notification sound. Can you imagine the look on his face? Not to mention the temptation. Trump will have to be on Twitter.
Will he come back?
He has to. That's just it.
Hasn't he publicly proclaimed he wouldn't come back?
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
I think that Federation might be a better focus to get Truth Social and Twitter to be interoperable.
Trump is a wild card. You never know what he's going to do.
Literally.
So
That's a fair point. I mean, it's he has to be on Twitter, but he might be like, no, I won't do it.
It's good for him to be on Twitter. It's a good feedback loop for him, and it keeps him grounded.
All right.
he's grounded.
Grounded. It's just relative.
D.D. Darius says, if Elon Musk unbanned the political, the media will call it election meddling. Also, I have a book done, Blood Herring, and 2 on the way for a series. Let's discuss publishing. Perhaps. But we're currently jammed up. We have a book coming out. The Tales from the Inverted World book is coming out soon. We're real excited for that. Would have liked to have gotten it out for Halloween, but it is what it is. Ghosts of the Civil War is the book. Cool. And you can watch the full show. Season 2 is on timcast.com. Become a member. It is Shane Cashman went down to Georgia, and he started investigating ghost stories and the lost Confederate gold. And it's a wild gonzo journalism. Hunter S. Thompson meets the X-Files. Is really, really cool stuff. Witches, UFOs, conspiracies, death threats. Someone threatened to kill him because they don't want people to know where the gold went. Oh, when the surrender was happening at Appomattox, how do you pronounce it? Appomattox. Man, way off.
Yeah, that's right.
The gold was stored in a chest. They raided it and took it and fled with it.
Wow.
Something like that. So look at me. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you can read the story and you'll figure it out because Shane did a good journalism there. All right. Synthetic Greed says maybe the meetings is either he's trying to limit the amount of leftists that will leave, or by the end he will set in stone how to moderate. Some people pointed out that the diverse moderation council is basically him saying to bring conservatives in, which makes sense. He wouldn't need to add leftists to a company that's overwhelmingly leftist. He needs to hire independents, libertarians, conservatives. But like, what do you do? Because if he hires like a couple like conservative guys, the libertarians are going to be like, "Come on, dude." You know, there's like, how do you? I don't know, man. All right. What? Let's see. Evan Suarez says, congrats, Tim, on enabling violence on Paul Pelosi. The guy was QAnon and a Trumpy. Probably listened to you, Tim. Thanks for your free money. He was registered with the Green Party. He voted Green Party. Just because he's anti-government doesn't make him inherently right or whatever. But if he's Green Party, that is a left position. If someone is a Democrat and is complaining about Democrats and they're saying we want the Democratic Party to be better, but we don't like it, and they believe the government's corrupt, they're still a Democrat. But we made that point because we believe in nuance. That's why we mentioned that the guy was just kind of crazy and all over the place. And it's what we've seen from a lot of these crazies. It is what it is. It won't matter, though, because like you are saying, he was a QAnon Trumpy. It is what it is. And we put leftist because he was Green Party. What are you going to do about it? All right. William Wallace Bauer D. Burkhoven III. Solution for Elon is to use standing legal precedent from when Trump blocked the lady trolling him. They ruled his tweets so important he couldn't block anyone. God will save us regardless. Yeah, you can do that and be like, we have to restore the public forum. So, we'll see. Justin Mondesire says 30 million. I support my family on more than 50K a year. Most people probably do. I think that's like the median wage. That's why I'm just saying, like, it is shocking to me when I see Trevor Noah make $16 million. It's just absolutely crazy. That's money that just goes to him into his pocket. And I'm like, what does he do with that? $30 million, you could not spend it. Like, you could not reasonably spend it. If you have that kind of money, you're probably just like, you hired a company to manage your money for you. You're at the point where you're so rich, you're like, you go to Schwab or something and you're like, here's money. I don't know, we figure it out.
You give me a 4.2% return on my investment, but I'm not your money marketer, but I don't, it's BlackRock. If you give money you're giving money to BlackRock. So be aware, start a company, you basically can buy anything you want, whenever, wherever. There is no service. There's no service, like basic service, that you cannot have, and you don't even need to be that rich to get. Like the most expensive hotels, like you go to New York City,
We did a really cool party once in New York after an event, and it was like I think 10 grand for this luxury suite to have like a bunch of people in it having dinner and stuff. $10,000. It was like 35, 40 people. We had a bunch of food and drinks, and it was for an event. 10 grand. Very, very expensive. If you're making 16 million a year, you're farting that. You don't even think twice. Like, what do you do with that money? It's crazy to me. Mostly, look, if you run a successful business and you work really, really hard, oh, I get it. But if you're like a dude who can't get an edit button done in a year on a failing company that somehow it's mind blowing to me. I'd rather the homeless guy had the money. At least he might do something funny like make a pie machine or something, or I don't know, buy himself an infinity pool. All right. So Lay Cucumber Lime says, okay, Tim, fine, I got you. 2022 remake of the old Brewster's Millions. What was that? It was like $1 bet or something? What was Brewster's Millions?
I don't know.
Brewster's Millions. Sounds familiar. I don't remember what it is, though.
Was it a movie?
It's a movie from 1985, American comedy film directed by Walter Hill, stars Richard Pryor and John Candy. All right, I'm sold.
Mm-hmm. What's it about? It was like they made a bet or something. Brewster's Millions.
Something about a baseball. A minor league baseball player must spend $30 million in 30 days in order to inherit $300 million.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's not allowed to own any assets, destroy the money, gift it, give it away. The description
This is
goes
right
on.
up the alley.
Brewster's Millions. What would you do with it?
Yeah, so you could spend the money by buying property like crazy, but then people don't understand you got to manage the property.
He's also not allowed to tell anyone about the deal.
So
right.
It's
$30 million in 1985.
yeah.
That's even crazier.
lot of money.
And so one thing you could do is you could go if you can't own assets.
Yeah, no assets.
My recommendation: go to an ad agency and say I've got a $30 million budget for the month and I want to spend it all right now, and they would say we got you. Because if you're looking at putting up billboards in the entirety across the country, you retain nothing from that, and you can easily spend it all if you're hitting every major market.
Yep. Yeah, the movie would fail today because you just put it into Facebook ads or something.
That's a good point. Yeah. Put it on Twitter, 30 million. All anyone sees is your face everywhere, but the money's gone. Yeah.
Maybe they make you spend it over time so you couldn't get it all spent right away. I don't know.
They do put those throttles on a lot of ad spending, particularly for political spending.
All right, last super chat from Raymond G. Stanley Jr. He says, holy moly, those fart sounds to that weirdo super chat. That's right. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button? Do it now. Subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends, become a member at timcast.com. We have members-only exclusive episodes, uncensored, Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. You don't want to miss it. So turn the knob up and rip it off. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. You can follow me at Timcast. Gavin, do you want to shout anything out?
Follow me on Twitter at Gavin Wax, and thank you guys for having me.
Everyone in the chat's asking if you wax. But that's a separate topic. I'm just joking.
All the time.
I'm just messing with you. My website's lukeuncensored.com. I did a video there titled The Hack That Many People Don't Want to Tell You About. I get into the weeds, the nitty gritty. I've done a lot of work with my own members area. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it. Check it out, lukeuncensored.com. See you there.
I'm Ian Crossland. You can follow me at iancrossland.net or just at Ian Crossland across all social media platforms. Thanks, guys, for tagging me in things you like that you think I would like, because I've seen a lot of cool, interesting stuff recently, and especially this topical stuff with Twitter getting bought and everything. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a fantastic weekend.
And I am at Serge.com on Twitter now, which is great. I'll see you guys around. I'll be in the comments, too.
Smash that like button on your way out. Thanks for hanging out. We've got clips going up on this channel all weekend, so don't miss them, and we will see you all next time.
Cheers.